And we are live. Hello, everybody. It's meteorologist Hutch Johnson with a radar update. Expanding storms, a little bit of shear on some. I'll show you which ones we're concerned about as we head into the evening hour under this tornado watch. Storms that are pushing now through Marshall County and Roseau County in Minnesota. Moving to the northeast at a pretty good clip. Also, Walsh County, parts of northeast North Dakota, seeing some showers and thunderstorms that are passing through. Now, we do have the tornado watch that is in effect. I'll turn the watch box off so you can see where it's located. In this area right here is where we're seeing the development. We see a little bit down here. They're moving to the north and to the east fairly rapidly. Garden variety thunder showers over here with some hail threat, a little bit of lightning. No lightning over here, but this is the main event indeed. And let me show you the velocity in this cloud north of Thief River and heading into southern and eastern parts of Marshall County, Minnesota. So this is the area, and particularly these early storms will have the greatest chance at seeing the potential for tornadoes, but the watch remains in effect until 10 o'clock at night. Here is a look at what we have going on with regards to the velocity that the radar sees. This is a long ways from the radar. See the bright greens next to the reds? Motion away from the radar, motion toward the radar in Mayville. This storm is rotating here as it's working its way off to the just near Holt as you take a look at it right now. So a rotating thunderstorm in and around that area of Holt to just north and east of you folks in Thief River Falls. As the crow flies from Thief River, let me go ahead and measure the distance here for you. But let's see here. My apologies. Let's go to this one here. Okay, so in Thief River up toward Holt, let's take a measurement. It is only a little ways just north of town, and it is right here. Okay, so we're looking at about 10 miles to the northeast of Thief River Falls is the rotating part of the storm. So no warning for this one yet, but there's certainly some signs here that the rotation is present inside the cloud at this particular time. Let's take a look at the movement of this cell as it's working its way to the north and east. Pardon me while I pull up some of the cell data here and what the Doppler radar is indicating. So we do have a rotating thunderstorm. It appears just in parts of central and eastern Marshall County, Minnesota. It's not moving fast, folks. This storm is moving northeast at about 18 miles per hour. Averaging the speeds with the rest of the storms around the area, I'm seeing 26 miles per hour. So a northeasterly movement generally at about 25 to 26 miles per hour is what we're seeing right now. So here's a look at the track of the storm as this one is working its way to that northeast direction. You can see it's mainly in rural parts of the county, and that's the good news. So here it goes. So the latest scan has just come in. Here's the reds and greens next to each other. It's moving northeast, and let's put it at that 25 mile per hour to 30 mile per hour clip. Again, it's going to stay mainly over rural portions of eastern Marshall County. It will stay west of the Grigla area the way it looks right now. So some rotation in that storm, and also just off to the east of Greenbush, we're seeing a little bit as well. Go ahead and answer some questions if you have any. Christy, thank you very much. It's been a busy few days here in the Northern Plains as well. Typically, we start getting busy with severe weather. Can be earlier, it certainly can be later, but mid-June is certainly a hot spot, if you will, for this type of weather. Rotating thunderstorm, no warning on it as of yet, watching it very closely here as we head through parts of eastern Marshall County. I am going to take you to a look at what's going on the DOT cameras in northwest Minnesota right now, because some of those sometimes can be very helpful in helping us locate indeed what's going on. So the eye is very important with these storms. I don't want you running out the door and looking outside, but we definitely have some resources with regards to this. Let's start in Thief River Falls. It looks very wet on Highway 59 north of town. As we take a peek at this, we see standing water out there, and this storm has moved through that area and is moving off to the northeast at 30 miles per hour. So that's what we're seeing from that particular camera view, which is not very great. But let's go to Gatsky here. Now, the Gatsky camera would be in the path of where this storm is generally going to be pushing towards. Here's a look at some low-hanging dark gray skies, but I'm not seeing much in the way of helpful information there. I will say there is a storm up in Roseau County not too far from Greenbush. So let's see if we can take a look from the Greenbush and Badger areas and see what we're seeing. That storm up there by the Greenbush area also showing a couple of indications of some possible shear. This is a roll cloud that you see detached from that storm system right there, kind of a boundary that's been lobbed out by the storm as it's worked its way through. We do have some wet roads showing up there in the Karlstad area, a little bit farther out. Those storms moved through that area already. Let's go ahead and take a look at another camera here that we have access to in Roseau County to keep our eyes on what's going on there. Let's go to Badger and see what it sees, if we can see anything. There's certainly a lot of trees. Boy, a lot of ugly low clouds there, and the lower they are, that's caused by the high humidity levels that we have in the air. And that makes it sometimes a little bit more efficient for these thunderstorms when they're closer to the ground for the rotation to make its way to the ground, as opposed to when we have dry weather and those clouds are way up high and yonder in the sky. This is another look from the Badger area, and I'm just scanning these clouds with you to see if there's anything that looks ominous with those particular clouds. Not necessarily the greatest view that we have here from the DOT cams. Why not try a look at our end-on-site cameras real quick and scroll through a list of those together? And if you do have photos, if you do have observations of the severe weather tonight, please let me know. Also, if you're watching and you got my email from my website, you can sign up for email notifications from Hutch. I let people know that I'd be covering weather tonight as these storms progress through the region, and that's exactly what I'm doing. So let me know if you did get that email. I'd like to know that that's working. If not, head over to hutchesweather.com, and you'll see a little window there where you can sign up. Let me take a look at a lot of ominous skies, even out in western North Dakota, where we have cold air making its way in to the region now. Big time cool down heading our way. With the hot, muggy air right here in Minnesota. And this is the activity that's going to really fuel those thunderstorms tonight. Let me dump down to the bottom of this. This is where we have most of our Minnesota cams here, if I'm not mistaken. So the Polk County area, Fertile area, had a few storms making their way through earlier. I think that looks to be okay right now with a little bit of clearing the way it looks on this. And then Cooperstown, seeing some gray skies. That's it. That's all I got. Walsh County, and this is what's going through there. Some heavy rain making its way through Walsh County. Those thunderstorms moving through the Walsh County area look a little bit on the ominous side. Let's go back to the radar here, and I do want to point out a couple of facts that we have. Thanks so very much, Christy, for watching on my YouTube channel. Tammy is watching from Monoman. Thanks for sharing stars. Excuse me. This was on my Facebook channel. I got my camera mixed up here. And thank you for all your stars, Derek, Ashley. I appreciate each and every one of you for supporting Hutch's Weather as I'm continuing to keep my eyes on the skies for you here. Let's go to the radar so you can see what I'm seeing as I'm continuing to monitor this rotating storm now. Now, what we're watching for is an increase in rotation. We're also watching for what could be some debris signatures or whatnot from this rotating storm. But what you're seeing here with this blue color we don't see, that is incoming wind at 100 miles per hour. This is way high in the atmosphere. It doesn't mean it's on the ground or whatnot, but we have some inbound winds here up to 90 or 100 miles per hour, not far from and mixing with some winds here that are going the other way at only 10 miles per hour. So if you can imagine 100 mile per hour wind moving this way, the other wind moving the other way, there's certainly shear in that cloud as it works its way over the Grigla area now, or excuse me, just off to the west of you in Grigla and north of Goodrich as well. So mainly east of Highway 32 is where I'm seeing that rotation. I mentioned some spotty rotation up in Roseau County starting to show up in a couple of places as well. I'll keep you updated on that. And let me see if we do have some information coming in. Event canceled, tornado watch for a couple counties. Let's get to that right now. Here's a look at the tornado watch area, and it looks like they're carving away some counties potentially as a result of where things are firing here. The watch was in a place for many counties off to the west as well. So let's see what if I have the details on that for you to pass along. Okay, where is me watches? There we go. Here's the watch box, and right now it doesn't show that there's been a erasure of any of the counties. Tornado watch has been canceled for Dickey and Lemoore counties. So these two counties will be dropping off. The National Weather Service has dropped the tornado watch for this particular area for the evening. So we do have a rotating thunderstorm in eastern Marshall County taking place right now. The rest of the radar information that we have here, let's go ahead and take a look at the cloud top heights with the storms. Those cloud tops can help us pick out which ones have the strongest updrafts. And stronger updrafts can do a better job of really focusing that shear that we were looking at and pulling it and stretching it into a narrow rotating tube. So the more we pull it up, the more of that can happen. So let's take a look at the cloud tops here if we can. Okay, computer, let's go try that again. So we got storm relative velocity. Here's a look at cloud tops. And for whatever reason, me cloud tops here are not cooperating. It does show me, or I have been watching, that the storms out in eastern North Dakota near the Devil's Lake Basin had lower cloud tops, not as high in the atmosphere as those have moved through. So let me take a peek here at what we have going on. And it's coffee time, and on Hutch's weather. Thank you so much for this cup. This one says happier than a tornado. So it's where my hot coffee is. It's been a long weekend. And we don't like tornadoes. Those don't make us happy. But as meteorologists, we want to cover them. And, you know, we look for signs on our tools here to see what's going on. Now, let me see what's going on with my radar. I got to get this thing fixed up here because on this radar here, I'm trying to plot data for the cloud top heights here. And it's being a little grumpy with me. So let me go ahead and do that here. Pardon me while I roll through the data. Okay, let's go back over here. All right, so let's get back to the radar data and the velocity and take a peek at that since the other product is not cooperating on this. Okay, now as we take you in, we have thunderstorms out here in the Devil's Lake Basin. Those have been non-severe. Earlier they were. They're moving up towards Winnipeg right now. In eastern parts of Marshall County, we have what looks like a rotating thunderstorm working its way to the northeast at about 30 miles per hour. No warning yet. And a lot of activity on Lake of the Woods and Roseau County as well. Little bit of weak rotation on this Greenbush storm as well, but we can see quite a smattering of storms working its way through southern Manitoba, working over Lake of the Woods. So anybody out there still enjoying the weekend and trying to keep cool on the lake, it's time to get off with these storms making their way through. And again, we just saw a drop or a cancellation of the tornado watch for our viewers in Dickey and Lemoore County out here in south central or the James River Valley of North Dakota. So there you have it. Strong thunderstorms rotating. If you are in this area, keep your eyes and heed the warnings because we do have some rotations starting to show up. The hail, the strongest hail, appears to be taking place north of International Falls right now as we look out and across areas up there. As we cross into parts of Ontario, there are some thunderstorm warnings for that activity from our neighbors in Environment Canada. Up there, more storms moving into the International Falls area as well. Oh, we got a lightning strike now in the area here that looks like it's just showed up on the display. This one 3 minutes ago north of Roseau County there, just across the international border. So here we have the latest on the radar data that's going on right now. There are no active warnings. I am going to double check the velocity on this storm relative velocity on this little kidney bean shaped storm up here. Still showing some reds next to green. And again, that red is outgoing wind away from Mayville, North Dakota, right here, outgoing. This green is incoming wind toward the radar. So there is some shear within that cell. One of the problems is we have some very, very, very distant storms away from the radar. The farther we go from the radar, the higher in the atmosphere it sees. So this rotation is very high up in the cloud, but not necessarily making contact with the ground at this time. Although I would not be surprised if that doesn't happen in the environment that we have and as low as the clouds we're looking out there today. So there is a chance of a tornado in eastern parts of Marshall County. Let's get you a locator as far as how far it is from Grigla. As we measure the rotating part of the storm, it's about 16 miles off to the west of you in your county here in Marshall County, East Marshall County. Goodrich, if we're measuring from your backyard or front yard, it looks like that rotation is right here 14 miles northwest of your area at this particular time. And that does look like a pretty good rotation on that cell. As far as Middle River goes, from your area, that rotation is off to the east of you. It's moving in this direction right here. If I get my crayon box out, we'll go ahead and pop up details on that. This rotating part of the storm is going to be moving up towards Highway 89 and eventually working its way into southern Roseau County here from Marshall County, Minnesota. So we do have some rotation showing up on the storm. If a tornado warning is issued, I'll be here to let you know about it as we take through. It's mainly in rural portions of Marshall County, Minnesota right now. Now, just so that you can verify with me that the storm's making their way through the Pembina Gorge up here in Cavalier, we are seeing some reds and greens next to each other, but they're the lighter reds and the lighter greens. And this is actually in some air that isn't quite as humid, and nor is it in an environment that has quite as much shear. Look what's coming into Winnipeg, though. All the way from the Mayville radar, we do have some motion towards and away from the radar, so there is some shear in those storms that are punching their way up into our neighbors to the north in Winnipeg, Manitoba as well. So those storms still have a little bit of shear showing up in them as well. So the main event tonight and the main area of concern is this area of northwest Minnesota extending down into southeast North Dakota and points to the east. This whole line is eventually going to roll out to the east. These individual storms are moving to the north and west. Let's see if I have any other comments. Hi, Linda. It's good to have you on board on my channel here on YouTube. And I'm going to say a good hello to all of you. Thanks for watching. And as we have a little bit of time here to go over this, I wanted to pop this up here just as a reminder and a thank you to those of you who have already done that. If you head over to hutchesweather.com, think of my fine sponsors, by the way. It's up to them, and they help make Hutch's Weather possible out there, and including all of those from my friends at Evco. They are a lakes-based company that basically delivers what you need as far as lubricants go right to your operation. So keep them in mind, and you can click on the button to get their contact information. And note the service that they have stands out, and let them know that Hutch sent you. Okay, now as you go through the update on the page here, I want to make sure that you know your viewer pictures and your reports of weather are very helpful in us determining what's actually making its way down. What's the risk for Foston? So Foston, you're still in the watch for tonight. Most of these storms are firing here off to your north and moving quickly to the north. That doesn't mean we cannot see an expansion down to the south. I will go over here a look at what's going on with our latest what about Crookston? Crookston, you're just off to the east of this line right here, right now. You can draw a line down here into southeast North Dakota. There can be development anywhere along this line. And it's one of those things where we just monitor for it. Those storms have enough energy in the atmosphere to fire in any of these locations. So that's good to keep in mind. Let's see if I got some of those properties of the atmosphere right now. We're going to look at what's called convective energy in the atmosphere. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. And I will show you that this hot, humid air mass we have in place over most of North Dakota. See the big blob of pink right there? I'm going to move my map over. Here we go. So from Fargo and Grand Forks all the way to where we see the rotating thunderstorm right now moving into Marshall County, Minnesota with the reds. That's the energy for the upward motion in the atmosphere. And when we take a look at what kind of values we're seeing, this will be in joules per kilogram, but we got 4,000 to 5,000 joules per kilogram. What does that mean? There's a lot of upward potential for this air. Now, if we get air rising, a heated bubble of air starts rising, will it continue to rise up to the upper levels of the atmosphere? So we've got plenty of energy. It's a loaded powder keg here. But sometimes we get rising bubbles of air and we don't get a thunderstorm. Why? Well, we have plenty of moisture in this area. The dew points are quite high as well. But sometimes we can have what's called inhibition, and convective inhibition can be a cap. So is there some reason that in the mid-levels of the atmosphere, if we get a bubble rising, it's going to get stopped? And some of these areas up here by Foston and Rebbe and also out to the west do have a cap in place, and that may be why the watch was issued where it is today. Fargo, northwest parts of Minnesota, and down into southeast North Dakota, where the cap is a little bit lower. Significant capping going on out there over the area of Duluth at this present time. So those are some of the ingredients we're watching for. The other thing is this flow that will be from the south feeding into these storms has been pretty strong across Minnesota today. And we have something that we watch for called a low-level jet. And it looks like I can pull up some wind speeds for you at mid-levels of the atmosphere, actually low levels of the atmosphere, about 1,500 meters off the ground. These colors are indicative of those winds, and we have 40 to 50 knot winds blowing up into these storms and feeding that hot, humid air into them. You can kind of see this little area right here where it's that darker blue. That is the core of the inflow that's feeding some of these cells right now, pushing through and into parts of northern Minnesota. So we do have some of the dynamics in place. It's not a guarantee that storms are going to hit Fargo or any one town. We're all in the watch, and they could form. Eric, thanks for your question about Donaldson as well. So as we take a look, at the area. We do see that we do have those storms out there, and those storms are strong. No warnings yet, but we do have the severe thunderstorm watch that is in place from the Storm Prediction Center. Speaking thereof, this whole area is under a risk of severe storms tonight that you see in yellow. Even the ones in green have a marginal chance at seeing a couple of these storms become severe as we head into your evening. So that's a quick update. Let's get back to this radar right now, shall we, and see if it's humming along. Here's a look at the standard radar view that we're typically used to looking at. We do see a core of thunderstorms here. These are non-severe and they're not in the volatile air. This is in the rotating part of the atmosphere today. Really cool here in Williston, Hutch. Hey, thanks for the update, Scott. Yeah, temperatures are cooling off quite a bit as we head into the western part of the state. We'll show you that temperature plot, Scott. Thanks for the reminder as we take a peek at what's going on. Now let's get down into the business here. I'm going to go to the single site data. It looks more pixely and it's not pretty to look at, but for a meteorologist, it's newer, it's fresher, and it's pixel by pixel information that I need. Sean, good to see you on board. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching, Annette. Good to have you on. Mike, Amit, good to see you. Lynette, thanks for joining. And thank you for your support of stars. So here's this far southern storm. We got some Boston ones starting to try to fire up here. Notice we're not seeing a lot of lightning with these puppies yet. They're just getting going. And as they do so, we're starting to see that this one here has a little bit of shear in it, or has. And the ones moving into Roseau County now starting to show some pink with the lightning starting to get involved. Let me see if this will show me the velocity first. We'll look and see if the spin is still there on this southernmost storm. Here it is. And yes, it is. And it's fairly strong. This storm is not getting closer to the radar. It's getting farther away from the radar with every step. And what that means is what we're seeing here is from the lowest possible scan that we can get from the Doppler radar here in the Mayville area. And that's still halfway up through the storm. So it's definitely something where, excuse me there, I have to have my coffee. Okay, so it's very high up in the atmosphere is this scan. So basically the rotation is in this cloud, but will it make its way down to the ground? When we start seeing brighter colors and the wind speeds are increasing, that increases the chance that we could see something produce some kind of a rotation on its way down to the ground. Looking at our temperatures across the region here, just in this particular impacted area, we do have some areas that have some temperatures in the 90s still to your south. As you look around the Red Lakes area, the darker red, that's warmer temperatures. I'll have to zoom out and show you Thief River. You have 82, 86 Boston. The heat is on here. So you can see this rapid change in temperatures across the region as we go through. Hutch just drove the 56 Ford Fairlane from Minneapolis all the way to Fargo here in 90 to 95 degree air. It was sticky, it was hot, and I don't have air conditioning, but that's okay. I did have a shower when I got home. Look at the cool temperatures in the oil patch you were just mentioning. Scott, oh my goodness, for cool. How about low 50s for Williston out there and out towards Minot, only 59, 66 in Bismarck. And this is the reason this air in the 60s doesn't quite have as much heat energy or rising motion to it. Now, when we factor in the moisture in the air, here you can see that dew points are in the mid 70s here. Very sticky air you can wear, as we like to say. So this is what we have going on. We have humid air. I called it the powder keg is loaded, and if storms start to rise, they could very quickly become severe. One tool to help us see where some of these storms are rising quickly is the visible satellite imagery here. So there's the line of storms moving through northeast North Dakota. What you see here down in Nebraska and the South Dakota line is this big pancake forming in the upper atmosphere. That's the upward vertical motion. That cumulus cloud rising up to about 55, 60,000 feet hits the stratosphere, which is very stable, and it can't go up any higher. And it starts spreading out like pancakes do when you pour the batter out on the skillet. You know what I'm talking about. All this area right here is the storms that are developing now. Now, see that shadow under these storms up here in northwest Minnesota? It's starting to become more prominent, just like this one down here. That tells Hutch these storm clouds are reaching higher heights than these ones are. These ones certainly are powerful storms with lightning, but they are not reaching the heights in the atmosphere that these little bubble troubles are right here in northwest Minnesota. So using all the tools we have, I do see a little bit of, well, I don't know if I'd call that development. That might be storms trying to form and a cap blocking them off from developing. But along this line, anywhere all the way down here into southeast North Dakota, there is a chance of development. So if you want to ask about your specific town, I can't tell you if one is going to form in that town or not, but what I can tell you is we still have volatile air in this area, dew points in the 70s, temperatures in the 90s. We have south wind feeding that moist air into these storms, so they very well could last into the nighttime hours. So not everybody will see severe weather tonight. Hutch is on board to keep you up to the date. Let's go back to the velocity on this radar data here, and I'm going to pop this up in straight velocity mode and see. You can even see it with standard velocity, even though the storm is moving away from the radar. Let me put this on screen for you. Even though this storm is moving away from the radar, hey, the winds here are still moving inbound toward the radar over here on this side. So there is definitely some shear in that southernmost storm that's in eastern parts of Marshall County, Minnesota. What we do is we can subtract or add the motion of the storm to these winds to better tell the story. And that is called storm relative velocity. And when we do that, you're going to see the greens and reds next to each other. And this is actually true relative to the storm's motion of what's going on there. So is there a heat dome, Scott says? Well, a heat dome, how high is the hot air rising up into the atmosphere? If you're asking about a heat dome like that, yes, the air above us is pretty warm. And for a bubble of air to start rising, we need the surrounding air to be a little cooler than the bubble. So think of a parking lot over the mall that's all full of asphalt, hot sunshine hitting it, it starts rising because it's going to be hotter than the air in the field filled with corn and grass. So that's what gets some of these little bubbles starting to form and pop up. 92 degrees, says Mike. 62% relative humidity in Wendell, and on the waiting front for development in Grant County. So indeed, thank you for the update, Mike. Is Fargo out of trouble? No, I'm not going to say that yet. The National Weather Service still has the tornado watch. And if I look at this line right here of where things are forming, do you see this? Right along this line, right into what town? Fargo. So no, we're not out of it yet. And I don't think it will be. Now, some towns and some of the places, what I have been saying is when your wind comes out of the north and you start seeing those temperatures drop, your risk for severe weather will drop pretty precipitously as well. So it's in 70-degree range in Grand Forks. Now, you're still in the watch there, I do believe. No, East Grand Forks is not. But see, once your winds become northerly and temperatures drop like that, the volatility of the atmosphere, unless it comes back at us from the east, is going to be something to keep in mind. So once your wind becomes northerly, look at our temperature here. One thing that happens in a situation like this is a storm can form right over Fargo and then quickly move to the north and east. Fargo gets missed, if you will, and then we end up with storms moving to the north and east. So we still have that risk of storms anywhere from the Grigla area, eastern parts of Roseau County, straight down into Fargo, straight down to Lisbon and Gwinner, where the powder keg keeps to be loaded at 80 degrees in Foreman. It's 91 at the Chihinkapah Zoo for all of those creatures. Okay, so remember your four-legged friends in this hot, muggy weather. Old Pedro got to stay in the air-conditioned luxury of places. So this is what's going on right now as we take a look at the radar. We do have weather that is severe. We do have, well, let's go ahead and take a look here. Pardon me. At the storm relative velocity, once again. Is this storm up here still rotating? Yes. We do have it a little bit closer to Grigla. In Grigla, you might even be able to see this storm as it's working its way through. And we do take a look at the distance from Grigla. It's not moving towards Grigla, but I think before it was about 10 miles away. It's now about 9 miles away from you. So it's kind of skirting in this general direction. Let's say that. It's likely going to continue its movement to the north with the stout south winds that are in the region today. Now, what is this blue color that you see here on this display? That is 85, 80, 90 mile per hour winds blowing toward the radar. And we do have some winds blowing away from the radar. But when you really think about that, that wind's blowing toward the radar. This is way high in the atmosphere. And then over here, it's blowing away from the radar. So that's quite a bit of shear or spin in the atmosphere in that general direction. So that cloud is working its way in the general direction of Grigla and points north in eastern Marshall County, Minnesota right now as we go take you in just a little bit closer. I do want to point out that we do have some cameras in the area. Let's go out. Well, we can look at Gatsky and we can look at Goodrich, and let's see if we got a decent view of these clouds. Wow, what a dark sky this is. Let me get this out of the way. Let me get me out of the way. So dark sky, there's a cloud base out there, but it's really hard to discern. We do have decreasing sun in your area out here. And then that's the Shooks area way out to the east. That's not going to do it. Now let's go right here north of, well, let's go to Gatsky and see what things are looking like real quickly. So in Gatsky, boy, it's still a ways away from the activity, and I'm just not seeing anything that's helpful to me as far as depicting what it is this storm is looking like. So with that, that's okay. We do have some rotation showing up on the Doppler radar from Mayville, North Dakota. We have another storm forming down here in Pennington County near Goodrich. That's showing a little bit of signs of spin or shear as well. Not unusual. It's forming in a sheared environment. And again, every storm that fires up that has green next to red does not always produce a tornado. In fact, it's not the rule. It's just one that we watch very closely. So we got some cells trying to form. And let me see if my cloud tops will work now. There they are. We got them. Though this cell near Gully, see the oranges there? This storm cell here near Gully and south towards Foston have higher cloud tops than their surrounding neighbors, 40,000 feet. That's not terribly high yet for these thunderstorms. Comparing to the storms that moved through on Friday night into Saturday, those were 60,000 footers. So tall storms forming near Foston, tall storms forming to the east of the Red Lake Falls area. Here we go, the Grigla storm, that's a 50,000 footer there. That's the one that's rotating. This one's starting to get some height and depth in the atmosphere. Think about how high 50,000 feet is. Your jetliners usually fly at an average altitude of 27 to 35,000 feet or so. So this is a towering storm way up high in the atmosphere. With the dew points that we have, it's all likely that this storm also has a pretty low cloud base, although I can't see it too well. Roseau, right over you, you have a cell that's starting to pop up to about 42 to 43,000 feet. And this little cell, this little bugger right here, this bugger near Edinburgh is looking at about 43,000 feet. So that's a towering storm. But with dew points that aren't as high and air that's drier near the surface, those cloud bases may be just a little taller. I do know I have cameras and they're pretty good ones, but we do have hilly terrain in and around the area of Cavalier. I'm going to Cavalier now. Let's take a look at what's affecting your area just to the south, as that's going to be approaching the I-29 corridor here pretty soon. Here's a look from the Cavalier view, and we definitely have some water drops on the camera. This is a valuable view here in the sense that we can see the light through the base of the clouds there off to the west, I think that is, as we look on down in that direction. A lot of clouds here. You can see it just has a cooler look to it. Those cloud bases are not necessarily high, but they're not as low probably as what we're seeing off to the east in parts of Minnesota. Looking at that same storm from the south, if we get a chance to see it from this DOT view, these clouds right here are pretty low to the ground. So that means our temperature and dew point are pretty close together. So that storm there is starting to reach some pretty reasonably high heights. That's approaching parts of areas near Hensel and St. Thomas at this time. I'll go ahead and show you the rotation in the storm for that one, and we see all one color until we get to St. Thomas. Pardon me, as I've got to switch back to the radar so you can join along in Hutch's coverage here. So here we go. All right, so here is a look at the storm that's approaching St. Thomas, and the radar's down here south of Manville, and it's in the Mayville area. That wind in St. Thomas is blowing away from the radar, and the greens is moving towards, but it's the dark red and dark green, so it's a very weak spin or shear in that particular storm, but it's spin or shear nonetheless, and you're not in the tornado watch, and that storm has not had a real history of damaging winds. Now, the taller these storms get and the larger the hail gets, then we have a better chance at seeing what's called gusty straight line winds. This is a calculation that's used to calculate estimated wind gusts. So let's try this one. This is a tool Hutch has in his toolbox that I haven't used a lot, but I'm going to use it tonight. We'll see if it matches up. So this is 60 to 65 mile per hour wind potential calculated because the storm is reaching over 40,000 feet in the atmosphere. So that's a pretty strong gust. The storms out here to the east in parts of northwest Minnesota have the potential for 60 to 70 mile per hour gusts, according to this calculation here, because of how high they're reaching in the atmosphere. So this storm also has had a history of showing some signs of rotation. And again, gusty winds a potential threat from that storm as and when it starts collapsing. Jim says, hi, Hutch. Great information as always. Just east of DL, it's hot, so sticky. I just drove through the area. I spent my day driving back from the Twin Cities, and indeed, in a car with no air conditioning, I really respect coming into the old house with some air conditioning. And if you need help with that, why don't you give my friends over at Robert Gibb and Sons a call? Tell them Hutch sent you. They can set you up with a quote on some fantastic equipment from Bryant to keep you cool and comfortable. All right, let's take a look at this. Now, we do have some towering. We're looking at estimated wind gusts, towering and windy potential from these storms in the Roseau County area and extreme eastern parts of the county of Marshall. So, and we could see some gusts burping out of that cell that's south of Cavalier, heading through parts of Walsh County, North Dakota. All right. Certain counties have been dropped like a 2-ton heavy thing, and that's dropped from the tornado watch. So these storms started firing right here in the hot, humid air. That's where they are. There is very hot, humid air right here in Detroit Lakes, as we just heard reported. Chris's electronics repair shop says, how about Fargo? We are right on that boundary right now. I was just talking about that. If you draw a line down here where the hot air is, we're still 90 degrees. If you have a south wind, if you're in the 80s to 90s, you're still in a air mass that has volatility to it. And all it takes is a little bit of that air to start rising. And once it does, the game is on as far as thunderstorms go. But as you've seen, there have been days like this where we have all of this energy in the atmosphere and the storms don't come to fruition. So there is a chance. Did you find the total number for 50s? Jerica, I did not, and I didn't ask. I could do some research on that when I get done, but I had heard through the grapevine from a couple of folks I was there with that they had heard or saw cars with the tags of over 10,000 cars. Don't know, but that's what was registered. We're also near Otter Tail Lake, hoping things are calmer tonight than this morning. This morning, tree damage out there. Let me show you that while we're at it. And thanks to all of you who have uploaded pictures to hutchesweather.com. It's a great way to share with us what's going on in your area. Basically, this morning we had some tree damage taking place out in Lakes Country. This is HS in Grandin. This is a tree ripped up on Saturday's storms. So that their pine tree was not happy with the gusty winds that came through. Looking for the one that was uploaded here today. Let me see. Here it is. Okay, so this morning's winds, the ones that went through Perham did this. That's a pretty healthy sized tree. And that tree there is all the way bent over. Now, we did get some pictures here as well that were from, let's see, damage from the storms on, well, this is Sunday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Oh, storms from 2 days ago toppled these trees at Roy Lake in Mahnomen out there as well. So just some nasty tree damage. Look at the lightning. I mean, all these photos that you all have taken, please be safe when you're doing so, of course. But Dusty from Dilworth capturing the ding-a-ling lightning up in the sky up there, stretching out through. And this is what the storm with the deadly tornado near Enderlin, North Dakota in southern Cass County looked like from Lisbon. Look how far away you could see this towering thunderstorm developing and just building. This is from that Main Street area in Lisbon, looking all the way towards rural Enderlin at that towering thunderstorm that formed on Friday night that unfortunately and sadly took the lives of 3 people. All right, so what we have going on at our present time, thanks for to all of you who have taken the time to upload. Jerica says 9,116 cars, and that might be accurate. Jerica, thank you very, very much for that report. I really honestly don't know and cannot report on the numbers. It was just hearsay of what Hutch was hearing. Here's back to your radar. Let's get to it. We do have thunderstorms that are forming now north of Fosston, heading into northern parts of Clearwater County. No warnings on these storms. The red box here is a tornado watch that's in effect until 10 o'clock tonight. This storm has definitely been one with a history of some tight spin rotating around in it, and I'm going to take you to that one right now as we look at the storm relative velocity. So bear with me while my eyes adjust. Here we are, and here we go. Okay, so we seriously have some blues and some greens next to each other, and reds and greens next to each other. So this area right here, very close to Grigla, It's just north of Grigla where you see this blue color and the green. This blue color represents winds blowing towards Mayville. So that's towards at 84 miles per hour. And then next to it, not too far away, or excuse me, not too far away next to it, we got outgoing winds of 10 miles per hour. This is a little odd. This would be clockwise shear, clockwise rotation. So this is motion toward the radar, extremely fast as well. If a tornado were to touch down with this particular storm, and there's no evidence that I've heard of that it has yet, but essentially, see what the Weather Service says. That's a good idea. See if they've gotten any reports in from their channels. Oh, we got some pictures of wall clouds, folks. Okay, so the storm that we see rotating, let me make sure that's the same storm. It does look like not far from Grigla that storm has a lowering of the cloud base on it, which can be determined to be a what's called a wall cloud. So the base of a thunderstorm cloud is usually flat. And if it's lowering down toward the ground, that cloud it makes is called a wall cloud. If the wall cloud is rotating, and if you see rotation, then we would have a possibility for that wall cloud to produce a tornado. Okay, so let's see here. All right, so that's what we got right now. There's a lot of shear in this storm that is just off to the north of you folks in Grigla as a crow flies right now. If you look at Grigla, there you are, Grigla. Hi, hope you're all doing good in Grigla. Just to the north of you, there is this cell, and it's skirting you, right? It's been over here, and then it's moved. It looked like it was going to move northeast and way away from you. It's not. It's kind of also moving east. So it's moving more east-northeast. It's only 8 miles away from town where this tight rotation is. You likely could see this from the Grigla area as this big, tall, towering thunderstorm that is reaching upwards of 50,000 feet is rolling over your area. So pretty soon this storm is going to be about equidistance from Mayville and Duluth. But you can see the problem here. Duluth is behind my shoulder over here. I'll scoot it over. Mayville, as you can see, on the left edge of the screen. So we have a radar in Mayville, another radar in Duluth. So if you split the difference anywhere in this middle line, you're in radar no man's land, and it gets a little bit hard to determine what's going on at the base of the thunderstorm. The radar beam shoots over the top of that. So I'll be here. Hi, Hutch. Is the cap pretty much tight or for the Twin Cities tonight or early morning? Thank you from Kathy. Why don't we take 1 second here as this storm is continuing to show signs of rotation as it moves through eastern parts of Marshall County. It looks like it's going to clip right into far northwestern Beltrami County here in rural parts of northwest Beltrami County shortly. We do have some spinning or rotating thunderstorms as well, way out in parts of Roseau County. This is over Roseau and between Roseau and War Road. There's just red, green. Well, inside this storm, there's all kinds of circulations going on. Very unclear, and that's very high up in the atmosphere. So pardon me while I take 1 second to grab a tool here. Okay, let me put this tool away. All right, so we do have, we got a thunderstorm warning issued. So the National Weather Service has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for this rotating thunderstorm cell that's working its way through Grigla, areas north of Grigla. Grigla, you are not in the warning. The rotating storm is just to the area to the north of you. The severe thunderstorm warning is also inclusive of, as I just mentioned, northwestern parts of Beltrami County, and it does sneak over into Low, Lake of the Woods County as well. As its rotation makes its way through. Tornado is possible. Damage threat is considerable. We do have wind observations of 70-mile-per-hour winds hitting the ground with this storm. So 70-mile-per-hour winds, 1-inch hail, and a possibility of a tornado from this cell as it is working its way through rural portions of the counties down south. So if you are in extreme northeastern Marshall County, Minnesota, we have a severe thunderstorm there that is rotating tightly. That's moving into rural parts of Beltrami County, the far northwestern corner. If you're out at the lakes here, at the Red Lakes, this storm is not impacting you. Near Clearbrook, though, we got some cells that were forming that are kind of trying to dance into your general direction. So not a bad day to get off the water, and you need to be off the water if you're on the big lake up here, Lake of the Woods. Oh my goodness, we do have some wild weather going on up there as well. But no warnings from that. Most of those warned storms, by the way, up in parts of Ontario right now do continue as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's heading into the Grafton area. We got storms up by you guys, not severe at this particular time. And again, if you happen to be in the path of this particular storm that's rotating pretty tightly, it's a good idea to seek shelter in a low level of a sturdy structure. If you're in a camper or mobile home, if you're, maybe you happen to be in a manufactured home, any of those kind of properties don't tend to, anchor things down to the ground as well. So you want to be in that sturdy structure. Lowest floor is best. A basement is best. And then still stay away from windows, interior room, and on the lowest floor possible. Now you can see, and I know a lot of us here in the Southern Valley are wondering what gives, where is all this weather we're talking about? We cannot tell you every time this happens that exactly where the thunderstorm is going to form, but this area is still volatile all the way down into southeast North Dakota where the 90-degree air is. And yes, we could still see it take off. Let me go ahead and dance a look at the funness that we do have going on with regards to your forecast. And for that, I'm going to query a model. We're going to go to a high resolution model here that updates hourly. This is the most recent hourly run, so it's showing a smattering of thunderstorms northwest Minnesota. Put this into motion and let's see where it goes. These continue. Look what's going on along this same line here. So the model says there is not much of an opportunity until later this evening after 10 for some storms to move into our area. Will they be severe? A couple of them could. So along that boundary, anywhere storms can fire. That's one model's rendition. Let me go to another model that updates fairly regularly as well. And this is called the North American model. This one was updated around the midday hour. You see how it filled in the line entirely. This is not happening yet, but the time on the model that this is supposed to happen is about 7 o'clock and it starts filling in. So we'll monitor that, and if it starts filling in, it could fill in anywhere here where we still have that nice, juicy, hot air. And that juicy hot air tends to rise and make things happen when it comes to the weather that's going on across the region. So that's what's going on. If you are in North Dakota, central North Dakota, Jamestown, Spiritwood, your area much quieter. Same thing. I can't say for Enderlin. I mean, we might still see something in our Enderlin area and Fargo area form, but we do have pretty volatile thunderstorms making their way through the region right now. And that is a look at what we have. So one severe thunderstorm warning that's taking place right now. I've drawn a box around it on my old radar. Let's get back to my crayon over here, and there it is. So this area is where the action is. It does extend up into Roseau County. Those storms are also showing some signs of rotation. Oftentimes it's this southern storm, the southernmost storm, that is getting the straight inflow from those south winds that has the most energy and the most unfettered air around it to work with. That can be the storm that produces the best chance at a tornado. So if you are in the path of this puppy right here, moving into northwestern parts of Beltrami County, please heed the warning, seek shelters, and I would get in the basement if you can. This storm does have a 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts that have been measured with it. That's observed winds. And there's some pretty tight rotation going on in this cell right here, just to the north of Grigla by about 7 miles. As the crow flies. A lot of things in that area to be in the path of, but it is rural and there are not big cities, so that we can be thankful for. But at the same time, those folks up there in the rural parts of eastern Marshall, northwestern Beltrami County, and Lake of the Woods County are important, and that's why we're here. So that's what's going on right now. The other thing to keep in mind, and the models did show now, I saved a pretty impressive look at those storms, and when it's appropriate to do so, I'll give you Hutch's analysis of the Friday night, Saturday storms that moved through. A couple of very interesting features on those storms that I thought I would share with you. And I'm just going to put it this way. The windstorm, I think, may have saved Fargo, southern parts of the metro from that storm that hit Enderlin. That derecho overtook those tornadic storms and blew them up. And I don't know if you joined me for the broadcast. I says it'll be interesting to see how they interact. The tornadic storms were not moving at 70 miles per hour. They were moving at 20 to 30 miles per hour. And that 70 mile per hour line of gusty winds produced by that derecho type storm indeed budged those storms right out of the way. The winds from them undercut them and changed it all. And then we did have the chance of those gust front type tornadoes called QLCS tornadoes. And those were hit and miss in areas likely as that system made its way through. But the gusty winds, as many of us noticed, were a problem. There were still areas without power as I started the day today. Dorothy, thanks for your comment. Cold front coming through Moorhead, Scott says. All right, that's good to know. Let's see what we got on the old channel here. So we do have some temperatures that we can look up here. Let's go ahead and take a look at this storm though one more time. I do want to look at these wind speeds. Motion 71 mile per hour incoming, and that's next to some outgoing wind here at only 4 or 5 miles per hour. So we've got a incoming wind out from the storm, so that is likely some strong outflow from the backside of the storm, intermingling with the strong updraft from those south winds that are rising up in the storm. Now, this is a slice in the atmosphere that is pretty high up off the ground. Let me see if I can find that tool. Interesting. Okay, so let's see. Layer presets. All right, so let's see. Thank you for bearing with me while I was looking for a tool and I can't seem to find it, so I'm just going to go on here. But this storm continues to race through. Now, this radar can help us see the thunderstorm here from Mayville. We are seeing in Fargo that there's outbound wind being measured from radar. So this little line here showing that wind shift. Maybe you can go outside and notice a refreshing burp of air and the temperatures start to fall just a little bit. Let's take a look at what those temperatures are right now in Fargo. The dew point is 73 degrees, 75 degrees. The temperature is 84. It's cooled off 6 degrees. So that cool front is making its way through the FM area. So now, as those storms make their way, as this cold front knifes into this hot, humid air, 95 in Fergus Falls, anywhere along that boundary, we could definitely see the development of a storm or two. The bottom line is, though, that up to the north, those storms that are racing through there are rotating and are making their way to the north and to the east and remain dangerous with gusty winds of 70 miles per hour possible. And along this boundary that we see right here in Fargo, well, I'll tell you what, that cold front moving through could cause the development of some more storms here. As you saw in one of those models, Kelly, thank you for sharing your support. We have a tornado warning in place right now. Let's get back to it. Tornado warning's just been issued by the National Weather Service. If you are in the path of this storm, please seek shelter in the lowest floor of a very sturdy building. Get out of things that do not have or are not anchored to the foundation. That's really important. Back to the radar display we go. Tornado warning has been issued for the storm that you saw, for the tight rotating storm here. That storm looks like this, and the warning is for areas just north of Grigla, right where we've been showing you that rotating part of the storm, and it's all the way through rural parts of northwestern Beltrami County into extreme southwestern Lake of the Woods County right now. So this is a dangerous storm, and if you're in these rural areas in the path of this storm, it's a good idea to seek shelter away from windows, lowest floor, and protect your head. So this motion is moving northeast at 31 miles per hour, and they'll be near the Norris Camp and Gates Corner coming up in the near future. We'll analyze all of that here in just one moment. East movement, 31 miles per hour, and that is a radar indicated tornado from this storm. So there is no confirmation as of this point of a tornado on the ground with that storm. By the way, if you're in the Red Lakes area, we got a couple of cells that are meandering in your general direction as well. Good idea to get off the lake with thunderstorms approaching. Notice on Hutch's computer, we don't see a lot of lightning strikes in and amongst this thunderstorm activity, which is kind of unique in itself. What causes lightning in a thunderstorm is the glaciation or the ice being made inside the cloud. It's 90-degree air getting lofted up into the cloud, and that glaciation is way up off the ground. So once these storms start, in my opinion, producing some seriously heavy rain and bringing some of the ice at the top of the cloud down to the bottom, that starts to separate some of those charges that are made inside the cloud. And I think that we may see with rapid downdrafts and updrafts next to each other, and increase in that lightning from these storms. But for now, we don't have many lightning strikes at all showing up in our particular area. In War Road, if you are in War Road, you have a storm making its way into town right now. Now, these storms up here are extremely far away from the radar, and we do have some activity with these storms that show some indication of rotation, but so high up, again, just like this storm here and approaching northwest parts of the Beltrami County area, it gets kind of difficult to discern. Not as organized of rotation up in Roseau County is what we're seeing here. So those storms are not warned for at this particular time. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at some of my wind gust estimates from this. So this is an estimating calculation done by the radar software Hutch has on board here. So we take a look at some of these wind gust calculations. We're estimating wind gusts upwards of 65 to 66 miles per hour. That matches carefully with what we're seeing from the National Weather Service on 70 mile per hour confirmed gusts. The storm up to the north near War Road has isolated areas that could see gusts up to 60 miles per hour, which would be severe. So once this becomes a little bit, and the confidence becomes a little higher that this storm is capable of producing those 60 mile per hour gusts, then indeed a warning would be issued. If you're on the big lake and you've got a storm that's capable of even 30 or 40 miles per hour with the size of that lake, you want to be off. So get off of the Lake of the Woods area right now. That storm heading into Warhead means business, and it is a strong storm. The rotating storm that is making its way in the general direction of, it's into northwestern Beltrami County now, exiting the Grigla area, does have a pretty tight couplet on it, we call it, and a tight rotation marker with it. Let me look at the shear marker here. This is gate-to-gate shear, and this is a calculation of when one wind is moving one way next to a wind that's moving another, you get that shear, kind of like shears and scissors. The more the shear is, the better chance that something making its way down to the ground would be, particularly when we have low-based clouds, and this is it. So that's the shear marker right there with that storm. It's right in the middle of the tornado warning. It's moving off to the east-northeast at 30 miles per hour. Let's clock this out for you folks in the path of this just to see if there are any populated communities in the path of this, moving in this east-northeast direction about 30 miles per hour. It's going to remain rural, and that's good news. But for those of you with crops, for those of you with farmsteads in the area, now is the time to seek shelter. Now is the time to get out of manufactured homes and mobile homes and seek shelter in something more sturdy. Its speed of movement isn't too great that if you live on the outer side of this and you do not have something available that you could get into your vehicle and drive out of the path of the tornadic storm, but there are more storms trying to form down to the south as well. Up towards War Road, we do have a shear marker showing up on these storms as well, mainly out on this side of the storm as well. That's moving in the general direction of War Road along Highway 11. Hutch is going to go to take a peek then at the DOT cameras in that particular area. When we look into Minnesota, here's what we see. Again, a lot of these cameras are made to look at road conditions, not weather conditions, and my nerdiness wants to see the weather. Look at what's hitting the pavement there. That is some either very, very heavy rain. There may even be some hail mixed in there. The crop out there and the land looks saturated with the moisture from the last couple of rounds of storms. Here we can see on this particular Gatsky view that it's wet there as well, and the low cloud bases associated with the storm. I am not seeing any evidence in this area of lowering of the cloud base or a wall cloud or anything like that, but I can tell you that the shear marker is getting even stronger now. As we've chatted here, the new scan has come in, and here's what that looks like. So as we take a peek at the radar one more time, pardon me while I load her up here, this is what we got. So we've got a lot of shear on that puppy right here. It's moving off to the north and east of the Grigla area right now. As the crow flies, the tornado warning is in effect, by the way, until 8 p.m. for an observed tornado. Now it says observed tornado, so there must be somebody here that's seeing it, and that storm is now moving off to areas just north and east of the Grigla area. As the crow flies, the tornadic part of the storm is only 11 miles to your northeast now, 11 miles northeast of Grigla, and a tornado warning has been for a confirmed tornado on the ground with this storm. So that's what we have going on. If you are in the areas of rural, northwestern Beltrami County, rural parts of Lake of the Woods County to the southwest, of Lake of the Woods itself. That is the area that you see on your screen here that is under the tornado warning presently. So that's what we have going on. As I take a look at the correlation coefficient, that's one of the fun things that dual polarization radar allows us to look at. And this is very far away. But if debris were lofted in the air, it looks a lot different than raindrops next to it. And in fact, debris that's not cylindrical looks different to the different polarizations of the radar beams that are being broadcast out by the radar. So what we are seeing is a drop in the target similarities in and around the storm on the north side there. That doesn't necessarily mean I'd like to see a few blue pixels together, which would indicate extremely low correlation coefficient in that area. Let's take a look at the target differences. We see we're looking for differences that are red. That means the targets are very different. The more red it is, the more different they are. And I'm seeing it right about over here. So there's even some red way the heck out here, but that's not associated with the storm. Here's the rotating part of the storm. There is some indication that there may have been some debris picked up by that storm by Doppler radar at 7:23 here on this Sunday, June the 22nd. So heed the warning, seek shelter in that interior room, stay away from windows. Here's a look at what's going on with regards to the storms that are taking place and forming out east of Oakley, north of Gully. Let's get you back to your standard radar view that you're typically used to seeing. And oh, why not look at the visible satellite imagery and see if we have anything growing in the area of Gully. And it does look like there are a few clouds starting to try to fire up here south of Roseau County as these storms are developing. There's the big shadow on the shadow side, south side of this storm, and the east side of this storm here, that these towering cumulonimbus clouds are throwing that shadow down to the ground. Same thing going here. That little cell is trying to pop. Am I seeing anything near Fargo? There are some cumulus clouds here, a cumulus field of clouds that leads all the way through Monoman County and in through parts of Clay County right into the FM area, all the way down into not far from Roberts County in South Dakota. So all of these areas here, any of those storms could take off. They haven't yet. The southernmost storm, though, moving into this area here in northwestern parts of the county of Beltrami, is the one that is the most potent and has a tornado warning at this present time. This is infrared satellite. Infrared satellite measures temperatures, and these cold, very cold cloud tops are mainly located up here in Roseau County. And we are showing that, well, it's not measuring quite as many out here in the Red Lakes area. So for the storm, that's this puppy moving in and out of the area of Newfold and then heading up in towards northwestern parts of Beltrami County is what we have going on. So there we go. We got the one storm, and there's a tornado warning, and I'm getting a refresher on my coffee thanks to my lovely assistant and Pedro too. So thank you all for helping. All right, that's what's going on here with the latest watches warnings, and back to the radar we go, and a standard radar view so you can kind of get a feel for other storms around the area. Tornado warning continues for Lake of the Woods County. It's rural. Winnipeg, you have strong thunderstorms working their way through your neck of the woods right now as well. Quite a bit of heavy rain. I do not see any warnings for you. And your temperature with a north wind is 60 degrees. Temperature in Fargo is just now coming off of the 90s, out of the 90s, and dropping into the 80s now as the cool front and the northwest winds take hold. So once again, thanks for your reports. All right, let's take a look and see if I've got any photos uploaded. A lot of times folks are uploading photos so I can have a look at what's going on. If you do happen to be in the area and it's safe to do so, to take a picture and upload it to Hutch's Weather, you're welcome to do that. And I'll share these in real time. Here's, well, let's see, it looks like I've got some trees ripped out of the ground in Sutton from the storms, and they were twisted at the base. Okay, I'm not sure what date. 6/21 was the date of the photos. Thanks for putting that in there. That's helpful. Okay, so and then we got more from the storms that worked their way through. So thanks for uploading your photos to hutchesweather.com, to all of you. Did you get my email notification I'd be covering for you? If you're not familiar with that, head over to hutchesweather.com real quick. And do you see this little get emails from Hutch? I knew things were about to fire off. I sent an email to all of my subscribers, numbering about 1,000 of them right now, to give them a tap on the shoulder. a video with an update and let them know what's going on. Do you want to be a part of that? Head over to hutchesweather.com and sign up today. We have an active tornado warning. This is basically very rural right now. It's going to stay north of the Red Lakes area. You can see it right here making its way into the Lake of the Woods County area right now, and it's moving through northern and western parts of Beltrami County right now as well. Here's what it looks like on the local radar. There it is. Tornado warning. 70-mile-per-hour straight line winds possible with this storm, and we do have that tight rotation and couplet that's working its way through the region as well. So confirmed tornado is the last word I got when I look at the National Weather Service feed here while I'm showing you the radar. Let's see. Okay, we got, yep. Okay, so apparently some confirmation from some chasers up in the area that there is a tornado on the ground with regard to this storm that's making its way through. So again, if you are in the path of this storm, chasers on the storm are absolutely going to be working this way. Be tossing. Oh, I'll be tossing and turning all night, says Joe. And I do have coffee. What? Geronimo says Reed Timmer is next to it. Okay, well, you know what? I was gonna go chasing in the 56 Ford Fairlane today, but I just don't have quite the protection that Reed Timmer has in his little Dominator 2 or 3, I think it is now, and that's fantastic that he is in there. And you know what? For experienced chasers, they play an important role to confirm what's going on in the skies, and Reed takes it a step above that and actually measures and gets data that we can use to learn more about these tornadoes. So there's a purpose served by many of these chasers, and I have a lot of respect for them. But there's times that these storms can be very challenging and change direction and do things when they intermingle. And no meteorologist and no computer model does a great job of actually modeling what that's going to do. So it's best to just heed the warnings and stay away. Mike, gosh, thank you so very much for your show of support on Hutch's YouTube channel called Hutch's Weather. We've been on for an hour now covering the tornado warning and the storms, and just wanted to kind of track this storm as it made its way out of the Thief River Falls area. It's now moving north of Grigla, missed Grigla by only about 7 miles, the rotating storm did, and then it put a tornado down right on the county line there into northwestern parts of the I think Beltrami County area is where that thing went and touched down. So that's what's going on right now. I'm looking for your feedback and notes, and so that's what I'm doing right now. Let me see if I can see your feedback. So there's that channel. Dun, dun, dun. There we go. I think you're right here. Let me put you up. What's that? Okay. Oh, there we are. Okay, sorry about that. Tornado on the ground in Grigla. 1 minute ago, Kylie says, outside of Grigla. Okay, I hope it's outside of Grigla. It looked like it was on the radar, but I will tell you, we are a long ways away from the radar, and the area of rotation might not be where the tornado makes contact with the ground. So tornado warning does continue for the area in and around the Grigla area for 1-inch hail, 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts moving east-northeast at 31 miles per hour. It stays near Grigla. If you're in Grigla and points east into northwestern parts of Beltrami County, get out of the campers. Make sure that you're out of the mobile homes and seek sturdy structure from this tornado that's on the ground. Here's a look at the velocity display once again. Pardon me while I get that loaded up right here. Here's a look at the velocity so we can see where the spin is, and it's very clear where the brights are. This is so bright, it would be unusual if it would not be on the ground. This is on the ground, and it's making its way through central and northern parts of the little nub here, and northwestern parts of Beltrami County out there north of the Red Lakes area heading into Lake of the Woods County. So if you're in these areas, please seek shelter. And you know, there is some spin in this War Road storm right now that's starting to become a little bit more apparent. The reason I am doing this is because this is so far away from the radar and it's very high. We just don't have any better information. But if you're a storm spotter, and what are you seeing in the War Road area right now? Hutch is going to go to a camera and take a look at what's going on in War Road, Minnesota. as the storms are making their way through that area as well. So we'll take a look at our cameras that I do have available in these particular areas of Minnesota from the Minnesota DOT. Thanks, DOT, for providing these cameras. And I know that they're made for using to look at roads, but sometimes us weather nerds like to look at the weather with them. This is War Road, Highway 11 on the west side of town, and you can see those trees look like they are wishing in the wind, wisping in the wind a little bit there as that storm makes its way through. And look at the darkening of the skies, the visibility going down with the torrential and heavy rain making its way into the War Road area, rather. Not able to see from that camera view and perspective there what's going on with the clouds. This is like a little tail on the backside of the storm. This is looking at it from Roosevelt from the south. So that's kind of probably an inflow part of the storm there that's working its way in on the south side. And that's about all I'm going to get to see from that particular view as well. So if you are in War Road, you have a stout thunderstorm working its way into your area. If you're in the Roseau area, there have been storms kind of dancing across your area as well. I'm just taking a look, and here's from War Road, and that's some pretty heavy rain activity making its way through that neck of the woods. All right, thank you again for all of your support. Joe, thanks for your comment. Absolutely, I'll probably be up all night anyways going over the data, but brief power outage. Oh, it was scheduled. Okay, so somebody's replying here that there was a power outage somewhere, but it was scheduled. So weather spotter in Roosevelt, Minnesota right now, seeing clouds and some thunder. Okay, so that's what we have going on as we take a peek at what's going on the radar. All right, so War Road, you have a storm with a little bit of spin or shear, and it's likely making its way in the northern part of the lake right now. And heavy rain and thunder and flow away from the radar would indicate maybe a outflow boundary pushing its way through, called a rear flank downdraft. Up in the Northern Valley here, we do have some storms. Let me get you to the regular radar display here for that. We'll turn on the shear markers and see if there are some. There are some as it's crossing the northern Red River Valley into northwesternmost Minnesota. What does it look like on normal radar? Let's take a peek at that. Here we go. And again, these storms have a little bit of shear in them, a little bit of lightning with them, and one very heavy core of rain. Not severe. The hail potential is pretty low with that particular cell as it works its way off to the east at about 30 miles per hour. It will be affecting you folks not far from Hallock, though, so keep your eyes on that. Hallock to Humboldt. This storm will be moving in your general direction. Let me get a view of how fast this is moving its way off to the east-northeast. So here's a look at the track of the storm, and based on its latest movement, we can see that it's going to impact mainly northern portions of Kitson County as it works its way through. Here's the tornadic storm, and we'll pick out the identical. Well, see the pink in here? Okay, a couple of things. You see the bite taken out of the storm? This might be a debris ball, but this is a bite taken out of the storm right here called a hook echo. We don't like hook echoes. Hook echo, bad. That is rotation in this supercell thunderstorm. The spinning motion of the updraft acts like a centrifuge, and it throws the raindrops and hailstones out and out of the area of rotation, making the radar display there very weak. So that's also co-located where we do have the spin and the tight shear on the storm. So well, that's what we have going on right now. That's pretty clear evidence of a tornado that's on the ground right now. And if we take a look for any debris that's being picked up, let me take a quick peek at that just to see. We already know there's confirmation of one that's been on the ground. It's a dangerous storm. So stay away from that one. And if you're in rural portions of Beltrami County on the northwest side or southwest, Lake of the Woods County, please seek shelter. This is likely a very rural storm, though, but we know that there are some farmsteads out there. So let me see if this is picking it up as a TVS, tornadic vortex signature. It's so far away, I'd be surprised if it did, but let's see what it's picking up here. All right, so that's the one there. The Red Lakes area have a couple of pimples starting to form on the radar here, just not really taking off quite yet, but they're working on it. Yes, we see the rotating mesocyclone icon right here. So the radar is detecting a mesocyclone on that storm that's got the tornado warning. Here's the thunderstorm that's heading into Kitson County right now, crossing the Red River really quickly, south of Pembina at this particular time. So those are really the only games in town at this particular time as that tornadic storm is working its way through Beltrami, and now soon into Lake of the Woods County. That's what we have going on. Another comment, Reed Timmer is currently there and has it on the ground. Okay, so yep, there is a chance that we've got ourselves a tornado on the ground at this time right now in Lake of the Woods County, on the county border with, you can see right where the hook is, right on the county line with Lake of the Woods County and Beltrami County here in northern and central parts of Minnesota. So that's what's going on. It really is the only game in town as far as severe and inclement weather, but we still have this hot, muggy, nasty air mass over the top of us. Fargo has cooled down to 84. Look at Grand Forks, 66. Your threat for tornadoes and severe weather there in Grand Forks is not very good right now with temperatures of 66. But look at this, moving into Kitson County. Hutch says your chance of severe weather is pretty low. 64 is your temperature, but you do have a pretty stout thunderstorm. Should people in Badette take cover? This storm is a long ways from Badette, so Badette being right over here and the storm being right here, it is heading in your general direction. Give us some time. Now, if you happen to be in a mobile home or a manufactured home, anywhere downwind of this storm right here by my finger is moving east-northeast, so it's going to skirt likely through the northern reaches of the county. So that's what we got. Northern reaches of the southern reaches of Lake of the Woods County is where it looks like it will be heading. I'm not going to say no, it isn't going to go to your area, but there's a lot that can change in between that amount of time. So if you happen to live in a manufactured home, if you're in a camper, if you're camping somewhere, yeah, it's time to start looking for some more sturdy areas to locate you and your loved ones so that you can stay safe from this particular storm. Trying to see if I can locate any other information on it, but if you all are saying that there's a tornado on the ground and it's being streamed, then I trust your input because we are a team, right? Thank you. And I do my best to check on stuff. Basically, what the Weather Service has got to is feedback that this storm is indeed, I'm in Roosevelt. Do I need to worry about? Okay, so we do have a line of storms through Roseau County heading into Lake of the Woods County. So there'll be a few storms that'll be making their way through and around your particular area. So as I switch this back to the single site radar data and we get down a little bit closer, look at this kidney bean shaped thing right here. This is classic hook echo shape. So this whole thunderstorm from as far away as it is from the radar, which is quite a doggone ways away. Here's the Mayville radar. Here's the thunderstorm with the rotation right in the middle of the donut here. That is the rotating core. That is 115 miles away from the radar, and it still has a very, very classic hook echo shape to it. Hook echo bad, hook echo tornado. Not every hook echo makes a tornado, but this one we have confirmation from multiple sources that it's going to be on the ground. Sandy's asking if Wadena is going to get anything. Right now, there is nothing forming south of this main line up to the north. However, I called it kind of a powder keg, and the powder keg is this air that's in the 80s and 90s. Dew points are in the 70s through this whole part of Minnesota. This entire area of Minnesota is loaded with moisture and heat energy. The problem is not every storm is growing into a thunderstorm because it's surrounded by other 90-degree air, so it doesn't want to rise. So we're not seeing as much rising as could take place when this cold front starts knifing through it. Anywhere out ahead of the cold front, in this case, it's ahead of the cold front by close to 100 miles, but ahead of the cold front, we get a little prefrontal system building up, and that's what we got here. So there is some threat along this area in front of the cold front here, that we could get a storm anywhere along that line. Some models say, yep, it's going to blow up and expand, but it was supposed to do that between an hour and a half ago and now, and it's just simply not done it. So I cannot tell you whether you will get a storm or you won't get a storm. But what I can tell you is that we have a powder keg of energy out here. Any storms that form could quickly become severe. Some of these little pimples that are forming, there's one that formed near Fosston. It's moving up into northern parts of Clearwater County. Not really amounting to a heck of a lot out there. They kind of are having a tough time growing. Here's your local storm report. This was from a trained spotter. 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts 6 miles west-northwest of Grigla. 70-mile-per-hour winds out there. So some tree damage is going to be likely from that. This storm is going to be capable of that. Here's the tornado when it went down report icon. Trained spotter, 7 miles north of Agrigla. Boom, tornado on the ground. Hutch was here. Weather Service is here. We're watching all of this activity. Moving into the Hallock area, moving into War Road right now. Strong storms continue to work their way through. This storm has a neat little hole in it. And by neat, I don't mean neat. I mean it's something that is not inconsequential when you see amongst a bunch of high reflectivity spots, low reflectivity. Sometimes that can be in an area of spin. So put your finger on that just up off the D on War Road right here. I'm going to point to that little pixel that's blue or green rather. Okay. And also we do have a little bit of a hook shape showing up, but this could be a separate thunderstorm than this. So I need to analyze. So we're going to look at the velocity display on this and take a look at what we have. As we take a look at the storm relative velocity, you got green toward the radar, red away from the radar in this area, just upstream from War Road. Was that little empty pixel? Kind of like what we would call a rain wrap style tornado moving out on the lake right now. Is there a water spout on the lake? Well, there's a rotating thunderstorm that's moving over Lake of the Woods right now. So dangerous storm there. Roosevelt, you were asking about you. You do have some blues next to the reds. So let me show you what that means. These blues are extremely fast wind blowing toward the radar, up at a very high level of the atmosphere. This is likely a good 2 miles up. And then you've got red toward the radar here, but it's not nearly as fast. That is also shear. This wind's moving at 100 miles per hour. The wind next to it's only 10 miles per hour. So when you got a 90 mile per hour car passing you, and you're walking 9 miles per hour on your huffy bicycle, you feel a little bit of a gust. That's what's happening. That's called shear, and it's right there near your area. So we do have some shear not far from Roosevelt on that storm making its way onto Lake of the Woods. But particularly this area here moving out over the lake right now has Hutch's concern. There's plenty of people out there. If there was something going on, the storm spotters would be all over it. Storms moving into the Hallock area. We do have some greens and reds next to each other. It's just not very organized. But sometimes I've seen signatures such as this produce tornadoes because it's so far away from the radar. We're not looking at what's the bottom slice of the cloud there. TJ says, better do so to be safe. Looks like Dominator 3 is chasing tornado towards Baudette. So if somebody's asking in Baudette whether they should go down in the basement, yeah, if you live in a place, I'll reiterate this. If you live in a home that doesn't have the protection you need for what could be a strong tornado, then you need to get out of that now, and you give yourself more time. Now it's moving at 30 miles per hour or so. Let me get the latest measurement from the Weather Service, so I'm not lying to you, but I'm giving you the best information possible. 31 miles per hour to the east. It says east, but we can see this storm has moved from near Grigla and it's moving east-northeast, just a little bit north of east. So it's moving, if it kept on this straight line that we draw through there, in the general direction of near Baudette. So yes, it could be in the path of this storm if it lasts. The distance that the rotating part of the storm is right now from Baudette is 30 miles. It's moving at 30 miles an hour. 845 ETA, can speed up. Yep. And that's what we have going on right now. So this storm is working its way right in the general direction of Baudette. It's about 1 hour away. It could speed up a little bit. So let's say that that's going to happen because it's out burping 70 mile per hour winds out of it. That will cause it to accelerate in that general direction as well. So I see this storm arriving in a little less than an hour near Baudette or south of it on Highway 72. Pardon me. So that's what I'm seeing there, and I hope that answers your question. You have plenty of time, but I have no way of telling if it's still going to be tornadoing by the time we get there. Thanks, Jasmine, and thank you for your comments. I will always use honesty in reporting what I see, and then passing along my opinion sometimes means nothing. What I want to do is give you information to make the best decisions that you can for your property and for your loved ones. Okay, so again, I'm really I'm worried about the people in the path of this, but I'm somewhat satisfied that this is out in the rural parts of the area. If you just think about how small a tornado is, it might affect, if the biggest tornado is 1 mile wide, okay, that would be huge. That's a huge tornado. Some have been as big as 2 miles wide, but I don't anticipate that that's the case with this one. With that said, most tornadoes are a few hundred feet wide at most, maybe 300 feet, which is a football field wide. So they can go through a entire town and impact a very, very small area. But that impact is tremendous. If they get to be big and they're a mile wide, the damage can be terrible. Okay, Brandon says, I am sad that there is no tornado in Moorhead. And I am not. I want to be clear about that. I mean, I don't want a tornado in anyone's town. The science of meteorology as a meteorologist is here to do our very best to protect life and property and let people know what's coming their way and then help them make decisions. So that's it. Daniel, thank you for the kind words. Thank you all for the gifts I see coming in on my channel there on the YouTube broadcast right now. Thank you so much. Okay, so tornado warning, here's where it is. It is now located right here where the greens and the reds are right next to each other. I don't know if you've ever heard of dual Doppler, but let's do a dual Doppler trick. Okay, you're looking at radar data from Mayville, North Dakota. We're going to switch the radar up and we're going to look from Duluth. Do we still see the circulation in the same exact spot? See those arrows there? Let's see what Duluth's radar says. So we're going to change the radar, give it a second, and is the greens and reds still in the same spot? That's one thing we can look at. And is it even seeing the same thing? And remember, the radar's in Duluth, so this is motion away from Duluth, and this is motion towards Duluth. So there is shear in this storm right here in the same spot. That's 2 Doppler radars confirming that we are seeing some spin in that storm. And that's another way to confirm what you're looking at isn't because you've had too much of this coffee to drink. Thanks, Geronimo. I appreciate you. I couldn't afford the damage a tornado would do to my house anyways. Really glad there's not a tornado in War Road. Can we ever really afford, you know, having losses like that to everything? That just think about what's in your home. And so I'm not going to say that because it's a touchy subject to us meteorologists who do our best to let folks know what's coming your way. And we want to do the best we can and help people make decisions. And even with that, doesn't mean there's anything that people do wrong. But sometimes these storms, terribly enough, cause loss of life and property. And I don't like any of that. So again, this is over rural portions of Lake of the Woods County. It's moving in the general direction of the Highway 11 corridor up near Williamson, also up towards the Badette area. You're looking at radar data here from the Mayville radar now once again as it's making its way off to the east-northeast at 30 miles per hour. So make preparations now for a tornado. Right now, that tornado is approaching the right edge of the warned box. The warning is in effect only until the time of 8 o'clock, so for the next 11 minutes. Will the warning continue? I don't know, but this rotation is still here, and it's still very loud and proud, right? Bright greens next to these bright reds, and that's some terrible strong rotation at the upper levels of the atmosphere. Now, things can happen with these storms, and just because it's spinning up top doesn't mean a tornado is still in contact with the ground, or maybe it is. But what we do know is the storm is still rotating in the mid and upper levels of it. So because that supercell thunderstorm has that spin to it and it moves over your area, you know, if things become right, it could produce another one. Sometimes these things go through cycles. So keep that in mind. All right, very good. Oh, Jen, thank you for the sharing of support and your sharing of stars. That is what's going on right now. Let's see. We got a little bubble out here by Holly. Let's take a look at the composite radar one more time and see what's going on here. And then I think what we'll do is have a moment to, oh, we got a new warning now. Brand new tornado warning. It goes all the way out towards Badette into central and southern parts of Lake of the Woods County. Brand new tornado warning for this area from the National Weather Service. The latest on their text has the movement now east still, but it's a little north of east. East is 90 degrees, so a little bit east-northeast at 36 miles per hour. So it's speeded up a bit. Its location is near Fonts, so that's where it is. It's on your map. Wait, let me see. Scott's saying something. Yeah, okay. Scott, thank you. Yep, I get talking and my eyeballs are looking and it popped up on the map while I was talking about something else. So having you guys here to help me is something I will never turn down. Thanks for watching, Scott, and I appreciate you as always. Thanks for all of your updates and help and observations that you make and share. So we have an observed tornado on the ground that's moving east-northeast at 36 miles per hour. I'll time this out for you now so you can get a little bit of an idea of who's in the path of it. We're going to use the composite radar data here, which is what you see on many broadcast things or weather apps. It's not my favorite to analyze the storm, but what I am going to do is go ahead and drag across the core of this storm right here, moving east-northeast at 36 miles per hour. You see Bedette is in the path. Now, this radar software is not going to pick out every rural community that's on the map in here out, but it does pick up most of the populated ones. And we have 8:38 p.m. ETA for Bedette. So if you are in Bedette, this storm is moving in your general direction, and it is going to be about the better part of the 30 minutes to 35 minutes before it approaches you. This is a towering cumulonimbus cloud. It has a history of putting tornadoes down on the ground, observed tornadoes. It has a wind gust potential of up to 70 miles per hour. I'm going to measure the latest on that for you as well as I continue to real-time analyze the storm for you as it works its way through. I also see just a little tiny hole in the radar data right here too. Now you're starting to pick up on some of the same kind of stuff Hutch is laying down. If you watch this stuff long enough, you'll learn what can be learned from radar data. That's why I loved teaching meteorology for the better part of 20 years, and I love using my knowledge and what I've learned over the last 30 years, sharing it with you. So if you have a question, never be afraid to ask. How's it looking where you are? Somebody's asking Michelle. Patty, thank you for the stars. I appreciate all of you for sharing those. So we got ourselves a tornado warning around the area again up in Lake of the Woods County, and for our area we're okay. Now let's look at the velocity. What's the velocity data picking up on this storm here for the storm relative velocity? Here we go. As this loads up, what we're going to see is the greens next to the reds. That tells us the location of the rotation. Really right back in this area anywhere. Okay, so it could be anywhere where we have the greens next to the reds. This would have the best chance of reaching the ground if the greens and reds were next to each other. But remember that pulling I was telling you about with an updraft that's making its way in. We're looking at a mid-level layer of the cloud, and it's not necessarily what's on the ground. So keep that in mind. Give me a second while I look up another tool if I can find it here. Okay. So I'm sorry, I couldn't find what it was I was looking for. Tight rotation continues through southern parts of Lake of the Woods County right now. Observed tornado on the ground. Gusty straight line winds will be also a threat with the storm. Looking at the cloud tops across our region, the clouds moving over Lake of the Woods right now with the orange and brownish colors showing that we do have some cloud tops that are approaching 50,000 feet there. This storm here that's moving through Lake of the Woods County is a 55,000 foot cloud top. There's another one on the back side of it, so there's a pair of them. That's a 42,000 foot cloud top. So big time storms rolling through southern Lake of the Woods County. Moving on to the Red Lakes area, we got a 30,000 foot cloud that's trying to grow. Another little guy here. These storms are either getting sheared off by the mid-level winds, or they are actually just running into a cap and losing their buoyancy and not continuing. 25 to 30,000 foot cloud tops moving into the Kennedy area. Those cloud tops are shallow cloud tops, still dumping heavy rain, and they were producing some lightning with them. We do have a line of clouds that's outside of Fargo. Do I think Fargo's out of the woods? It's looking better. It's looking better that no activity will take place in Fargo, but it's a little too early to say that. And my friends at the National Weather Service still have a watch for us. Thank you for your comment there, Daniel. I appreciate you watching. Harvey, work. I couldn't afford the damage. That's right. Okay, so I just want to make sure I got all that. So this is what we have going on right now. A continued tornado warning for southern Lake of the Woods County. This storm is moving towards Baudette. If you're on Lake of the Woods, get off. This is a nasty, nasty thunderstorm working its way right over the big lake. There will be gusts from this storm as well. There could be some hail potential with that as it works its way across. Let's take a look at another product called the chance of severe sized hail over our area and see if it loads up. Sometimes these things... Oh, there we go. So we do have a little bit of hail showing up. So the atmosphere is pretty warm. Remember what I was talking to you about lightning? We don't got a lot of lightning with this storm. The cloud tops here with the 90-degree air and a warm atmosphere maybe not producing as much of the ice as they normally would. Make no mistake about it, at the upper level of the cloud, it's glaciated and it's icy. But this one only has an 18% chance on Lake of the Woods of producing some severe sized hail. As we look at the big storm making its way through, hail not the main threat. It's only got about a 20% chance of producing severe sized hail. The second storm behind it that's also warned has about a 30% chance of some hail making its way with it. 2 active tornado warnings, it looks like, too, with the one storm about ready to the rotating storm about ready to exit the warned area for that particular tornado warning. And that warning, let me just double check, is set to expire at 8 p.m. in 2 minutes. So that will be replaced by this one, and the thunderstorm warning will probably, well, what time does that expire? Let me double check that. I think I got too many warnings in one place. Severe thunderstorm warning for 8 o'clock too, but there's a brand new hail producer in this same spot now, riding on the tails of the one that just went through. So brand new thunderstorm cell developing up in parts of northern and western parts of Beltrami County, could possibly have some hail on it as well. So 2 thunderstorms there in that location. We do have the rotating storm over the southern parts of Lake of the Woods County moving in the general direction of Baudette. That continues to rotate tightly. The newly formed storm here has motion away from the radar and motion towards the radar. There would be rotation there as well, and that's going on. Dan Hoffman, thank you for sharing stars with Hutch. I do appreciate all of you taking the time to check out what's going on here in our area. Down near Grigla, it looks like there's another cell trying to form in that area, and a look off to the Red River Valley. As we take a look and analyze the map, I'll do that with you right now. We do have temperatures, and I'll draw a line on this map here to show you where the cold front is, or the cool front. It's not always temperature that defines where the cold front is, it's wind. So wherever your wind has now become northerly is where we have that cold front located. So let's go ahead. I'm going to use my other radar display here for that. So let me pop that puppy up here. Okay, so for analyzing where this is, let's go to this and zoom back out. Now, what we're looking at here are station plots, and meteorologically, station plots with these little blue lines showing wind from the north here in Devil's Lake, and these little flags that come off measure wind speed. For a full flag like this, it's 10 knots. For a half a flag, you got one full one and a half a one, that's 15 knots from the north. So there's the city circle in blue. That wind is pointed towards the city circle from the north-northwest. So here's our north winds. If you have north wind in your location, the risk of severe will drop pretty quickly in your area, and so will your temperature. You're looking at temperatures over dew points here. Red temperature, green dew point. When the dew point, which is a temperature, the dew point, is reached, when air starts rising, it starts cooling. So this 73-degree dew point air, as it rises up, it only has to rise a little bit to for this 89-degree air to cool down to 73. Boom, you have a cloud and a thunderstorm. So we remain volatile. Notice the Weather Service has dropped the watch for Grand Forks, Polk County, Red Lake County, so Thief River Falls, Red Lake Falls, for Beltrami, Fertile, done, Foston, done, Ada, done, Hallock, done. You get a north wind, it's going to shut off the machine. We do have a cooling amount of temperatures here in Fargo, but as I zoom in just a little bit, we'll be able to depict. According to this, Moorhead's airport is still at 90 degrees. So Fargo no longer in the tornado watch. Moorhead, Dilworth, Hawley in 90 degrees, but the wind is switching and becoming westerly here. There's a change in the air, folks. A big, big change in the air. Down in the Wahpeton, Breckenridge area, we do have some hot air there. How about 95 out at the Chahinkapazoo, or actually out at the airport out there, with a 70-degree dew point, 73, Fergus Falls. So again, the atmosphere is loaded here, but we're not getting the lift needed to get things going. And also, if an air parcel starts rising and the air above it is warm, it just sinks back down and says it's all done. So it ain't going to happen. So some places have a cap going on. Other places have shear where the south winds get a rising bubble of air and just blow it and stretch it out. And that can cause that problem as well. So we do have us some pretty cool temperature differences across our area, and tornado watch that does continue until 10 o'clock for central Minnesota. So the risk remains here. Roseau County, you now have in Roseau a northwest wind. That's a good sign. We still have a south wind here, though, in the Fosston area. And so these areas of Eastern Polk may still have a little bit of a threat, but basically once this line kind of gets by us with these south winds, it's going to really reduce your risk of severe weather. Speaking of that powder keg, as we take a look at some of the other factors with regards to our atmosphere tonight, we looked at that. Let's look at the wind gusts and where the storms are roaming. If I zoom in just a little bit closer, we don't have a lot of instruments out in parts of northern parts of Beltrami or southern Lake of the Woods County. So I'm not seeing much in the way of wind gusts right now in these areas. Elsewhere, our winds are gusting from the north and northwest at 25 miles per hour in the Fargo-Moorhead area. So as we take a look at what is happening with regards to our hail chance and hail tracking, hail has not been the main threat tonight thus far. Haven't had a lot of hail, but we do have some. 2 hail cores, one here with this tornadic storm. There is only one thunderstorm that has a severe warning on it. It's a tornado warning. It's a rotating storm heading in towards Baudette. If we take a look at this hail tracker, we'll take a look at the estimated hail size that the radar has, and it's still 3/4 of an inch. So the best guess by the radar is 3/4 inch diameter hail. The second cell that's back over here in Beltrami County is about a 1/2 inch in diameter. So hail, not the main risk right now with these storms. It's that rotation. So if we take a look at that spin and shear in the storm, you see it's still evident and hot to trot right here in the central part of the tornado warned storm. That's where the spin is, that's where the shear is, and it is moving in a general direction, Baudette. And then as we take a look to the west there, that second storm following up the first storm, following the same footsteps, it too has some spin and some shear. Okay, so that's a look at the only game in town. I will continue to keep this covered here. Let me see if I have any details coming in on Hutch's weather. So bear with me while I look at the website, see if I've got a couple pictures or photos that have come in. We got a lot. Let's see. Okay, we got some pictures here. These are from Valley City, Highway 1, and this is from the storms from the other day. Fair enough to show them. If you want to see them, they're incredible. You can head over to hutchesweather.com. And again, Friday night, Saturday morning storms were unbelievable in their strength. They were fairly well forecast, if I might say, by the Storm Prediction Center. Hutch got an itch in his elbow and started talking about it a few days beforehand as well. But essentially, along that warm front, we had a volatile situation take place. Thanks to everybody who has shared photos and uploaded them to hutchesweather.com. Thanks for your support here on Hutch's Weather. Take you to the photos that were just uploaded and cleared by me so we can take a look. So here we go. Thank you so very, very much. Here's what went on in Valley City. This was Valley City. This is at Highway 1 and I-94 and looking west. And there is a tornado that is in that rain curtain somewhere. So the radar was picking up that huge tornado and a huge circulation north of the interstate there, looking west. So that's what was in there at that point in time. And then from Scott in Valley City, now you can make it out very clearly what was going on there. And that's no small tornado. So that puppy was rocking through areas along and north, I believe, of I-94. So this is I-94 looking west as it became rain wrapped the first time. Maybe I'm doing this out of order and timing here. Here we go. This is Scott from Valley City. Again, this is what we would call a wall cloud with a lowering of the cloud base. If that's rotating, then, well, most tornadoes come from rotating wall clouds. Again, this is Valley City from Friday night. This is not tonight. I don't want to confuse you. So here we go. Let's take a look at what else Scott sent in. And there is another look. This is Valley City looking west. This is Highway 1 and 94 looking west from Friday, and that is a funnel cloud. If it was in contact with the ground, we may see some debris kicked up there, but that's a pretty big looking funnel cloud right there. Scott, this was Castleton looking west that night. lightning illuminating the northern supercell as the derecho is catching up. I mentioned that derecho catching up with the storm had an interaction that was incredible. I'm going to do a separate video on that. That is going to be something that will be studied by the National Weather Service and meteorologists across the region, because there's some things that models can see, and when that derecho formed, it caught up with those tornadic storms. And I honestly think that it changed those storms significantly enough where it wiped out the upflow and the inflow to those storms, and stopped those tornadoes from making their way into the Red River Valley or any further into Lakes Country. We still got nasty winds, but those tornadoes were wiped out by that windstorm. Okay, continued coverage, Scott. Thank you for that. And for those of you in Lake of the Woods County, this is a big old tree, Paul Denton said, in Sutton. 2 trees, one ripped out of the ground completely by the roots and the other twisted at the base. Sutton, North Dakota out there, and I'm assuming this is from the Saturday, June 21st activity. First thing late Friday night and Saturday morning. Just incredible damage from the winds, and there's the root ball, it looks like, that was pulled up by that storm wind there. And this is the view of the deadly tornado near Enderlin, but it was from Lisbon. Carly, thank you for sharing that incredible photo. Still hard to look at that. As we take a look at what's going on in the Lake of the Woods area, that warned storm does continue to show tight rotation signs, and here is that radar as it's heading in your general direction. So hope this information is helpful to you, and let me know if you have a question. There is a lot of shear, gate-to-gate shear or spin in this storm that's right here, and it's moving. There's Baudette. Pardon me, please. As the storm is moving to the northeast, east-northeast, it's moving at about 35 miles per hour. So we'll go ahead and time this out. I want to put a more clear rotation signature on the screen here if I can. Shazam, shaboop, there it is. Okay, now let's draw a line from the leading edge of the circulation. We just got a new update in from the radar, the Doppler radar. So the closest shear and spin in this very tall cloud that we have is only 14 miles, 15 miles from Baudette now. The movement would have it near or just south of Baudette by maybe a mile. So the current movement of this might bring it near Baudette or south. So in your Baudette, if you're in areas, rural portions of Lake of the Woods County to the west of Highway 75, seek shelter in an interior room away from windows and get to the lowest level. There is a tornado producing storm that is heading its way towards you. How much time will it take? It's moving at 35 miles per hour. It will be less than a half of an hour. It'll be very close to the 9 o'clock time frame. Let's check Hutch's math and see with the tracker. Again, I'm going to go to the leading edge of the rotation on this storm to give you plenty of time for the warning. Moving at 35 miles per hour, if I can get that. 34 might be the closest I can get. We'll put this near Baudette at 834. So 834 is your ETA in the Baudette area from this storm. So that storm there continues to be basically the only game in town of serious significance. But on its heels is another cell that is showing some signs of rotation. And on its heels, now we're getting another cell. Sometimes these things kind of back build and work their way through. Is Fargo out of the woods? People have been asking. Thank you for your questions, by the way. Not out of the woods, but every minute that goes by where something doesn't form near us or west of us, because these storms are moving in the winds to the north and east. So for it to hit Fargo, it'd probably have to start a little bit west of us. So Fargo is looking better each and every minute. And if you're in Lakes Country, you're not out of the woods quite yet. But the fact that nothing is forming near Fargo yet is good for you as well. All right, here's some notes. Let me see if I've got some from my friends here on the YouTube and Facebook channels. So pardon me while I pull up these screens to have a look-see. Okay, boom. All right, let me see. Okay, so wind is picking up in 8. It feels like something is coming this direction. Is anything forming? Rachel, thanks for your question. There are a pretty terrible tornado producing storm in southern Lake of the Woods County. But if you are up here in the area of your question, which is Ada, What you're noticing, I think, see the green arrows here, that's motion toward the radar. You've got a wind there then. That's storm correct. Let me get the straight velocity data. Pardon me, I want to make sure I got the right thing up here. Okay, red is away from the radar. This is green is towards. So the wind over the radar site is moving toward the radar here. We don't see any greens out here showing that there's winds out there moving toward or from the south. But so what's gone on now is your wind has switched direction in Eta. Once it becomes westerly or northwesterly, your risk of tornadoes and severe weather goes way down. Your risk of weather at all isn't zero, and it's not zero, but it's going to go way down once your wind shifts and you become northwesterly, okay? New tornado warning now includes Baudette. So let's get you up here and up to date with what the Weather Service is saying. The National Weather Service says that we have less than 3/4 inch diameter hail. We talked about that. It's moving east-northeast at 32 miles per hour, so it's about 30 miles per hour. And this warning is in effect until 9 o'clock. And this is for a radar-indicated tornado on this. If that storm-chasing crew that was on it is still on it, chances are that they would let us know if it's on the ground. So a radar indicated tornado, you can clearly see the bright colors next to each other showing the circulation here and where it is. Moving east-northeast, I will clock this now with the new information and the new warning on the leading edge of the rotating part of the storm. Moving east-northeast at 35, 32, I'm going to go 34 miles per hour. A little more east than north, let's go there. So Baudette by 8:40, so it's saying just a little bit slower than it was before, and that's what we got. Reed keeps losing service. Well, Reed Timmer. So you bet. I hope I'm coming in loud and clear, and I suppose out there in that area when you're trying to stream from the middle of Lake of the Woods County, it can get a little bit hit and miss with different available services out there. So Debbie says just ordered. All right, good. Thank you so much. For that wall cloud pick, that was a bowl funnel coming down and was the birth of that tornado. That was the tornado that Reed saved people in the house. Okay, yeah, that was right. I think I heard or read that after the fact because I'm not aware of everybody's goings on during the storm. But yeah, a wall cloud, rotating bowl, hits the ground. That's not good. That's a big tornado. And they were big tornadoes that night. Okay, so up here in the Baudette area, I haven't heard anything or seen pictures. I think I've seen a funnel picture tonight, and it wasn't nearly as impressive as that, but it was a pretty big tornado from this storm tonight. So I can say this one has a history of tornadoes. It has a history of very strong, gusty, straight line winds. To 70 miles per hour is the peak wind that I've heard of, and it's moving its way towards Baudette. We'll be there by around 8:30 to 8:35 would be my best guess. It is rotating, and if you are in any area just off to the east of Baudette and south of Baudette, near the lake, big lake, please, the Rainy River, get off, get out of the boats, get out of the campers, and get to a sturdy structure. You have less than 20 minutes or so before that storm makes its way in and toward the Baudette area. I'll take a look and see if I can get some detailed images from the DOT stuff that's in Minnesota. It's been a little bit rough. There's so many trees out in this area, it gets hard to see. We do have a camera right here along the route of it on Highway 72. Let's get this one on board and take a look at it. Hills and trees block our view, okay? A lot of trees and a little bit of terrain. So I'm not able to see anything from that view. Let's go and see what we got down here. There's nothing in fonts that I can see. Let's look from Roosevelt and see if we can get a view down to the south. And there's just dark skies aplenty with this particular storm as we look off down the road there. But not a lot of good meteorological value from that shot because we can't see up in the sky. That's okay though. Those cameras are made for the DOT to monitor road conditions, not Hutch's cloud photos. So thanks again to the DOT for everything they do. Moving into the War Road area, it looks like those storms have exited the region there and are moving out over the lake. As we talked about, there was some spin in that cell as it was moving over Lake of the Woods as well. So now we'll take you back to the radar and get you back to what we know. Or what we think we know from the radar data. Let's go back to that. Okay, very good. So tornado warning, still evidence of some rotation in that cell. Right where you see the arrow is where the leading edge of that rotation is, heading in the direction of Baudette from Fonts. As we take a look at the activity going on over Lake of the Woods, this is very far away from the radar. There is some evidence of some shear in the storm that's making its way across the lake now. War Road area is starting to clear out. Looking at the normal radar data, you can see that cell down here that's working its way to the north and east also. So basically skirting the southern parts of the shores of the lake right now. It will continue to do so as it moves off to the east northeast. The Baudette storm is approaching Baudette. We have another one south and another one west. So this area is going to see yet another storm working its way up in the same direction. This one did have some signs of rotation as well on it, but not necessarily as strong as what we saw here. Here's a little bite taken out of the storm. It's co-located with where the rotation was. This is called a hook echo. The hail and rain tends to get wrapped around the back side and bottom side, and the raindrops and hailstones get centrifuged out of that rotation and rotating couplet. So this is the twisting updraft. It's not seeing anything. The radar's not seeing raindrops in this area. Here it is now on the newest scan. And is this thing expanding south and moving a little more east than northeast now? There's just a little bit of a change in the shape of the radar data right there. Let's go back and see what the latest velocity looks like with this. Okay, so we do have shear up here, but it's separating, and then there's this inbound flow right here as well. So it's getting to be in an elongated area of rotation right now. It's not right next to each other, so a little bit different shape to it. Tornado warning does continue until 9 o'clock, though. Movement 32 miles per hour. There could be maybe from the outflow, if we had a rear flank downdraft on this side, the outflow could be developing a new storm on this far southern side. What we would expect to see if that were the case is different cloud tops at different heights. So let's see if we've got another tower rising on the south side of that cluster of storms that's blowing through here. So we'll wait for that data to kind of figure itself out. But if it does, and if it cooperates, we'll see if we can get some cloud top data from it. So dun, dun, dun. Here's the estimated wind gust data. Not there. And the cloud top data. Not there. Okay, I'm not sure what's going on with that. I'm going to go back to the normal radar data here, and let's just look at that. So we do have this one thunderstorm cell that's located right here. I think it's oh, there it is. Yes, on the south side, there's another storm forming down here. So we've got two towers. You got another thunderstorm tower here, another one thunderstorm tower there. This one has had that classic hook echo shape as it's worked its way along. It's now on the southern side of this as this storm is working its way off to the east and north. Doesn't mean Baudette is in the clear at this point. I just want you to know it's making its way there. Weather Odyssey. Hutch's weather is awesome. Thank you. I appreciate you for watching and your kind words. And thank you for your comparison to the great and late Mr. Schwartz. It's appreciated. I appreciate all of the predecessors of mine who have paved the way for me in this job that I do. So thank you very much. Okay, so let's take a look at the velocity display now once again and see if we can see. Now notice how things on the west side here falling apart a little bit, less concerning altogether. Here's the main line. We would expect to see something forming down here. If it's gonna, it's gonna. If it's not, it's not. And the longer we go without it forming anywhere down here where we got the hot, humid air, the better off we are in Fargo, the better off we are in Ada. And we'll just kind of keep letting you know where that clearing area is. So the best chance of storms right now is going to follow this line associated with the temperatures that we see and the temperature and dew point boundary and the wind boundary. And right now that boundary exists right here from Baudette. We're at 75 degrees. Look at 88 in Waskish. Are you kidding me? So that right there. So right along this boundary here, and now look at Fargo. Wow, we went from like 93 to 73 in just an hour or so. So here's the boundary. Your winds here are from the west, northwest, or north. Okay, so we got north winds, cool, dry, severe risk, very low. Look at Hallock, 63 degrees, 68 degrees right now for you folks in War Road, Minnesota, and it's still 88 in Waskish. So if you have these 80s in the muggy weather, your fuel tank is still full, and you still have a chance at seeing some severe weather fire up or pop up. Is it likely? Not necessarily likely. Is there something forming south of us and west of us? One model did have something firing down there. I see some cooler temperatures down south of Sisseton as well. Put my Crayola back in the box. Look at Fergus Falls, 91, and Sticky Fun right going on out there. Now, when we look at that radar once again from the national view, yeah, there is some southwesterly stuff going on right now that's way down south in Nebraska. That is not going to be something I worry about right now. This might be something, if it takes hold and evolves into a cluster, could move up into our area overnight. So as the storm approaches the Baudette area, you got about 6 minutes to 8 minutes for the rotating part of this storm to be very, very close to you. The rotating part of the storm is going to be more likely on the south side of the storm, so let's keep that in mind as well. And let's go ahead and take a look at the velocity on that cell as it's working its way in your general direction. So here is a look at the storm relative velocity. We still see inbound winds here that are crazy next to some inbound winds that are a little slower. This is an interesting view of inbound winds and inbound winds too. So we got a couple of areas of some very strong, I mean, this blue stuff is 90-mile-per-hour winds blowing straight toward the radar. Look at this one right here. There's another area of it back here on that second storm that's following up. So that one is pretty strong again as well. So we're seeing a possibility for a couplet and a storm starting on the south side here, kind of maybe evolving. We do have inbound winds here, and you've got outbound winds here, a rear flank downdraft, and outbound winds here. So in this area, there's still a chance for some rotation and shear. This is incoming wind next to outgoing wind there. So where's the tornado? The Doppler indicated tornado, in Hutch's opinion, is going to have, well, we've got inbound and outbound. That is the type of circulation that you'd like to see. So it'd be right close to where this arrowhead is. There's one area of rotation. And you got very, very fast inbound next to, oh, outbound. So you've got another little area there. So this whole area right in this vicinity has quite a bit of spin going on, and it is moving in that direction towards you folks in Baudette. Go back and take a look at the, I got to turn the telestrator off, the estimated time of arrival then for Baudette. I want to keep you on your toes here. Here's the leading edge of this rotation, and here it is moving northeast at 32 to 34 miles per hour. Puts it in Baudette at 8:38. So at 8:38, it should be making its way up into your general area. It's going to be very close to you. You should be in your tornado safe area right now. You should be out of things like manufactured homes. Get out of the camper and seek shelter immediately anywhere along Highway 11 and point south in Lake of the Woods County as this storm is pushing its way towards you. There is some rotation once again in the southwestern corner of the county starting to show up there as well. And that is what we have going on. Okay, as we take a look, the Howlock showers and storms are not any stronger, more organized, or anything. We have the winds that have made the shift here in the Fargo area. As we take a look at the watches that the National Weather Service has and the Storm Prediction Center has, I'm looking to put that up here. Okay, so right on this map, we'll go ahead. We've carved out Thief River Falls, Red Lake Falls. The chance of any of this activity in and around Fargo is starting to diminish a bit as well, as our winds have now changed direction and we have flow from the northwest starting to move through. Our temperatures drop from the 90s and into the 70s, I believe, at last call. So threat still does remain for parts of Clay County and parts of Monoman County in this area, all the way up to where you see this line right here. Anywhere in here, a storm could still fire. Not looking too likely here. Let's go ahead and take a look at convective inhibition in our area. That's stuff that inhibits thunderstorms from forming. And this is modeled data as well to take a look at. But what does this mean if we get a rising bubble of air? If it hits a layer that's hot air or warmer than its surroundings, then it's going to want to come back down again. That's called a cap. Okay, so do we have a cap here over the southern part of the valley? It's not very much. No, it's pretty weak as a matter of fact. So the cap is pretty formidable up in International Falls now on the backside after those storms have moved through. And so we do see some capping going on now on the west side here. So There is some inhibition, but it's not a lot of inhibition. The sinking potential with this is 11 joules per kilogram, so it'll fight the storms from forming a little bit at different layers, and it depends on what the layer is. We could look at what's called modeled soundings also to help us get a clue on that. But quite frankly, the models have not done a great job of matching identically what we have going on. With that said, let's take a look at the latest model and get right back to Baudette. And if you're in Baudette, I want you in your safety place right now. And again, southwest of you, another storm is forming with the storms making their way to the north and east. So now this model is showing that we have motion of these storms basically moving along the international border as we go through the wee hours of the night. There's midnight, there's 1 a.m. and beyond. The stuff we see that is in South Dakota by my elbow over here, that's going to blow its way into southern parts of Minnesota and the southern Red River Valley, but the risk of severe, that don't look too severe to old Hutcherooski at this particular juncture. So now let's take a look at what's going on with another model that's, this is an older model. Let's see if this was anywhere close to what's happened today. There it is. There's the strong stuff. You know what? This is a winning model. This is a winner. This is Hutch's favorite model. This looks like what it does as we head into the 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock time frame, and it does show these storms continuing to work through Rainy Lake and International Falls. The risk of tornadoes continues there. Storms moving out of Nebraska will push into southwest Minnesota and push into, you see there's Ottertail, Grant, and Douglas counties. We could have a couple strong late nighters, but this is midnight to 1 a.m. And after that, everything fadizzles out, and I'm happy with fadizzle because fadizzle makes me happy. All right, let's see. We got white earth good. You're still in the sticky air. If it's still 90 degrees out in your area and it's still muggy, there's a chance a storm could form, so I'm not going to say no. We looked at this model, though, and it showed most of the model activity on this model said it's mainly going to fire along the north. Based on so far tonight, we have seen nothing fire in our southern counties here in Fargo and points east into Ottertail and Becker counties as of this time. And you know what? What I've been saying, I'll stick with. Every minute that goes by that something doesn't form near Fargo makes Lakes country safer, okay? And Fargo hasn't seen anything form next to us to the west or left, and therefore, because nothing is formed west to move over us, we're looking a lot better too here. Let's take a look at the visible satellite and see if any of these clouds in the latest runs have blown up. Pretty easy to tell. There's two games in town. One exiting through Lake of the Woods, and this puppy down here making the pancake that's crossing through southern parts of South Dakota. That's going to move through southwestern Minnesota overnight. Nothing here has fired, but there is a powder keg below it. And you see this line right here? That line right there? That line right there has moved by Fargo. That doesn't mean Fargo's completely out of the woods. I do not want to step on anyone's toes and say we're through. But we're looking a lot better in Fargo than we were a couple hours ago. We do not have the 90-degree air here anymore. That's shifting off to the east. So if you step outside and it says 90 and it's still muggy out there, then you still have a risk of a thunderstorm forming in your area, although nothing has. So I wouldn't hold my breath, and I'm happy about that. We do have a lot of clouds out to the west of us. Let me get to a little bit more detailed forecast for you folks, detailed coverage for you folks in Baudette right now. Here's a look at Baudette and the storms working their way in your area. Let's get down to it. Now let's get away from the convective inhibition. Let's look at the velocity signature that we have on this storm. Pardon me while I pick out the right thing that I want. Here's the right tool. Now we have that tornado warning continuing for Baudette. You can still see some reds next to some greens out here. It literally is showing some shear in this storm on the doorstep of Baudette, but it's weak shear. This is very strong inbound wind, by the way, so there is some spin and shear on the outside or the south side of that particular storm as well in Baudette. So that's what we have going on in Baudette. We do have a camera from the DOT out in that area. I'm going to effort to get that up right now. Let's go to that, Minnesota DOT. Thank you for, for maintaining and this network of cameras, even though it's made for watching road conditions in the winter and summer. It can sometimes be very helpful with what's crossing. So this is Baudette. This is Minnesota Highway 72 here, and it's very gray. I don't see the trees bending over or rocking too much. Sometimes you hear that silence that happens before the storm as the updraft is working its way in. So What about the late storm for Grant and Ottertail, those late night thunderstorms? Severe or not so much? Yeah, they could be windy, will be the main threat. This tornado watch will end at about 10 o'clock. Overnight, our risk for spin in the atmosphere over us goes down. I do think we'll have a risk for seeing some windy thunderstorms from those and possibly a little hail. And one of the reasons being is that there still could be a chance for some high humidity in the area to fuel the storms. Avs Hockey Man says, watching on TV, commenting on my phone, keep it up, doing awesome. Thank you, Avs Hockey Fan. I appreciate you. And I appreciate your support as always. So, and I happen to be an Avs fan myself, although my hat's in my 56 because I took it to the cities. So, all right, here we go. This storm making its way into Badette right now. Let's see if we can see it from the Roosevelt area, Highway 11. Yeah, looking down this, you see some clouds out there. They're not particularly low-hanging clouds, and that's probably the best view we're going to have, but I don't think it was in the right direction. So the rotating part of the storm is still just outside Badette. You should be in your tornado safe area. That storm is working its way right into the Badette area right now. Well, I'm going to continue to take a peek at these cameras. The radar data is showing that there is still some rotation moving over Badette, and there's still a tornado warning in Badette as well. So here's a look at that Highway 11 view from Roosevelt. And you know, the storm has moved by there. We see some low clouds over these trees to the right, but it's just hard to tell if we got a view of anything up there that is going on right now. So back to the good old-fashioned radar we go. I do not think I have any other cameras to view up there that would be helpful. So let's go to this radar. Okay, so the rotating part, the red moving away from the radar, the green is right in this general vicinity. You have extremely fast inbound winds next to extremely slow or outbound winds here. So there is some spin, but this is the wrong direction type spin on that south side of the storm. But there can be clockwise tornadoes. That does happen. So there's a lot of shear inside that cell and pockets and as it's making its way through that area. So I'm going to leave this up, and then I'm going to look for your comments here and see if I have any. Tara Hot, thank you very much for watching. And Trista, what about the storms late? I think I answered that. White Earth good, we talked about that. I think I've caught up on that. Thank you so much. And thanks to everybody for watching. And I will walk this storm through Badette and across the international border. And once it heads into Canada, we'll leave it up to Environment Canada to take care of that. Although this storm, you know, gets into radar no man's land up here. It's really hard to detect what's going to be happening and what's not, but that's what's going on right now in Badette. And let me see. I'm going to look at something up here. So pardon my eyeballs looking around. All right. Okay. I can't show you this, but I just pulled up a camera from Badette. So I'm watching live feed from Badette, and I'm watching the storm move in. It looks like we've got hail bouncing off of the roofs. Big time hail making its way into Badette. By big time, it's just impossible to tell what size, but it certainly looks bigger than nickels on this feed I'm getting there. This is moving in on the Rainy River and is working its way into Badette right now. So it is pushing in with the rain and the hail and that's making its way into town. Let me go ahead and pull up the ordinary radar data here called single site radar data. Yep, there is the main core of the storm making its way right into and along the Rainy River here. The rotating part of the storm has a bite taken out of it here. This is another storm forming on the south side. It's not all one storm, it's a couple of them. And then that one does have a little bit of a hook to it as well. This southern storm might take some of the south inflow energy away from the Badette, and that's not a bad thing for Badette. Let's hope that there's no tornadic winds making its way into the general area there. So pardon me while my eyeballs are wandering again. I'm loading up information as we go through, just trying to keep my eyes on what is happening across the area. So all right. I'm just pulling up a couple of available webcams here to do my best to keep my eyes on what's actually happening and coming into the area right now. So looks like some rain, some brief hail is working its way on the west side of town. We've got another view here. Let's see. All right, looking okay there too. So that's good. I'm not saying it's good that it's over and the threat is gone, but from the location I was looking at, I wasn't seeing anything. I still see a little bite taken out of the storm here, but it is a gap between a couple of different thunderstorm cells. I'll take a look at the velocity stuff, but it's getting so far away from the radar, it's getting a little bit of difficult to discern. It's not as organized of a rotation as it was. This is inbound toward the radar in Mayville extremely fast. This is inbound but slower. So there is some shear going on here toward the radar and away on that side. And if this is inbound and that's inbound, but it's really fast, we're getting some spinning there too. So on the south side there, we got some spin. There's some weak shear over the top of Baudette as we speak. So if you're in Baudette, seek shelter in that interior room, and you do have some pretty strong winds that could be coming into your area. I will take a look at the wind gust estimates from this storm and see what it possibly could be taking or putting out. Some of these products were not being too friendly as far as loading up in a timely fashion, so I'm not going to sit here too long waiting for it. I'm going to go switch over to the wind gust data measured at the airport. So let's go to Baudette and see if we've got some wind gust data. No gusts reported right now in that area. That's good. 21 mile per hour gusts in Fargo, 25 mile per hour gusts. So Warroad's at 21. And we just don't have very many instruments to measure the wind speeds that we're seeing up in that area. I was hoping that Baudette had a measurement for me. Let me see if I can see. They have a wind of 7 miles per hour from the east right now. So the main brunt of the wind from the storm has not hit if it's got an easterly wind. I do not know how often that station updates, but the latest measurement is still an east wind, and it's only at 8 miles per hour, 75 degrees of temperature, and the radar showing that the storm is making its way in. New tornado warning here. This is for the area just off to the east as we take a look here toward the Rainy River and point south. So, okay. The trend does continue, and look at where it is. It's a little bit on the south side here where that rotation is, so that's going to continue. See if I can get any better information from the Duluth radar. It's going to be kind of halfway hit and miss between the two. Okay. So we got this line of very tightly rotating storm activity working its way into Baudette now. A little bit of development on the south side of it. It's moving off to the east at about 35 miles per hour. The warning for the extreme northwestern corner of Koochiching County is in effect until 9 o'clock tonight. 1-inch hail moving northeast at 41 miles per hour. This area here has a little hail core with it. So this is the storm that we have that's moving out of Lake of the Woods County and will be pushing out into this area here. So some rotation on that being picked up. And let's see, I think I do have data from, yep, I got data from Duluth the way it looks. So I will go ahead and look at the velocities on this and see what the Duluth radar is seeing with regard to the storm. A little bit more clear. We do have some rotation here near Baudette, so you should be seeking shelter, staying in your shelter. The rotation is over you. It's not done yet. And what we do have moving into Koochiching County here is some more rotation on this side of the storm that will be pushing its way in. So we do have a couple of areas of shear showing up from the Duluth radar here, and that's what's going on there. And if you look at this area here, there's motion away and motion towards here. So even just behind this storm, there is evidence of possibly some weak, more broad shear on the backside of the storm. So that's what's going on in these areas along the Rainy River and heading out towards Rainy Lake. And Baudette right now under a tornado warning with the rotating part of the storm right over the top of you and point south right now. So south on 72 is where this storm is. And it remains rotating tightly. I'm going to take a look at what the National Weather Service has for comments. Maybe they're getting some feedback that I can pass along. Um, Basically, I'm not seeing much more information other than the tornado warning continues as it's in a favorable environment for tornadoes and continues to show that shear that we've been showing you in the mid levels of the atmosphere. So I don't see anything more there. I am going to go to the Duluth channel here, so bear with me while I look up that information for you. Duluth issues the Koochiching County tornado warning. That is in effect until 9 o'clock, and it also says that the storm located 17 miles south of Baudette. That's that south one that is rotating tightly, moving into Koochiching County, and it's moving at a pace of about 40 miles per hour, according to their radar data. So seek shelter, take cover, get out of your boats, get out of your boat houses, get out of your campers as well. Moorhead area fine. So far, so good, Mick. And I do think that our temperature is dropping. The wind becoming more northwesterly is a good sign for us. I cannot say that it's a zero threat here, but it's looking better each and every minute that our wind stays northwesterly and the cool air moves in. So along the boundary where the cool air is moving in, we could see some storms rather rapidly update and develop in those particular areas. But essentially, our risk for the tornadoes is not zero in the Red River Valley, but it's dropping very, very quickly, particularly in Fargo. Moorhead, it's falling fast. Becker County, it's still alive. I've been saying this, if you walk outside and you feel 90 and it's still muggy, then it's still on and you still have potential in your area. But if it's not and it's cooled down substantially, then your risk has dropped greatly as well. Okay, so we got a couple of areas of rotation, one right over, and this is from the Duluth radar. So here's the rotation. We're seeing it better over Baudette right now. I'm going to look back up at that camera and see what I see. Pardon my eyeballs for going wildly from camera to camera and screen to screen here. Okay, so, well, let's see what happened to the camera view. It's gone. There it is. Okay. What are you seeing in Baudette? It looks pretty good on that particular camera that I'm looking at. Looking at the DOT stuff, we've got rotating thunderstorms over the top of you. Let's go to the regular radar data from this storm as it's pushing its way across. This is the composite radar data. It's going to take a second to catch up. I think there it is. Okay, so a lot of rain, hail. Here's the rotating part of this storm right here on the Baudette and the south side, and it's going to be moving through. So Baudette and Point South have the best chance at seeing some activity from this. This cell down here is moving into Koochiching County. This is the one prompting the tornado warning from our neighbors in Duluth's National Weather Service Forecast Office. And remember, I said there was some rotation on that backside, and that's from this cell. This cell is working through air that this storm already moved through, but the difference is we still have that southerly flow into the storm at this time, which can help feed and fuel the storm as it works its way through. Do you see the formation, what's going on out here outside of Foston and Clearwater County and Bemidji? This would be the area I would watch for along this boundary for if there's going to be development. It'll be along and ahead of the cold front. The cold front's out here. Ahead of the cold front is the place where we're worried about, and that's the area where we got to see. So, is Fargo out of the woods? We're getting farther out of the woods every minute we go. Holly, same thing goes. White Earth, Detroit Lakes, Monoman, Nadawash in particular, your area is still under the risk, and a couple of those cells could be growing a little bit. So as we take a look at the look at the rain going through Canada, that's a good thing. We need the rain. We don't want lightning there. That can trigger more fires, but there's been so many fires there, they'll take all of the rain that they can get from this. HutchesWeather.com. Let's go use the radar on that. I do want to point out here as the storm is moving through Baudette, you should remain in your tornado safe space, even if it sounds quiet. That can sometimes be the case. There's a tight rotating storm over your area, a lot of rain and hail heading your way. On HutchesWeather.com, one of the cool things I wanted to point out to you is that you can tilt this view of the map by pushing both your mouse buttons. And if you have a cell phone, you can also do the same thing by pushing 3 fingers on, depending on your cell phone and how it works. This is showing the storms. They're showing a little bit of a firing up of the storms just behind the Baudette and Lake of the Woods area. Let's go up farther into Canada, though. This is one of the reasons I wanted to see what was going on up there. How far north is this rain reaching? And it's not reaching into central parts of Saskatchewan and Manitoba. And that's where some of the most terrible fires have been, and even all the way out in towards British Columbia as well. But we do have some snowy weather taking place out in the mountains of Montana and Wyoming. Look at Jackson, Wyoming out there. That's right. Winter weather advisories in those areas, folks. And this South Dakota stuff will be pushing its way north and east into southern and parts of Minnesota as we go through the night. So, yep, I got to tell you, that's what we have going on here. Late night thunderstorms, a possibility in southern parts of our lakes counties out there. And that takes care of that. I don't know if this camera is delayed here. Let me go ahead and... Oh, I know why. Okay, good enough. Pardon me while I think out loud. Okay, I'm just kind of getting different views uh, from the Lake of the Woods area and trying to see what this storm is doing as it goes out there. So we do have some, yeah, we have some stormy looking views of Lake of the Woods. Anywhere north of Baudette, the threat really isn't there as much as it is in Baudette and Point South, the way it's looking. Other things to keep in mind on Hutch's radar site is you can go up north of the border, and if there's world radar data on here, you can see what's going on. Ontario getting some good rain showers all the way across the southern part of the province from basically from north of International Falls and Dryden right out in towards the, well, geez, all the way out towards Timmins and northern and eastern parts of Ontario. So that's good news for them. For us, we can zoom into any area and kind of take a peek at what's going on now. This does give you a little bit of a future view, and you can click this little satellite button now here, satellite button, and show the cloud cover and where things are popping there. So as you zoom out, it'll load the satellite data for you, and you'll have a view of what's going on with the cloud cover across the region, and you can see all the clouds coming towards our area from the far south for tonight. So it is a tool for you to be able to utilize and keep up to date with the latest as these storms make their way through. So let's take a look. Tornado warnings continue for Koochiching County in northern Minnesota along the international border. We also have that tornado warning for you folks in Baudette. And once it's clear of the Baudette area, I will take a break and get the forecasting done and maybe even eat a sandwich. And we will keep ourselves up to date with the very latest and what's going on with this storm right now. But basically, if we take a look at this cell, we see a bite taken on the storm right here. That's an interesting feature I want to look at. And this is all moving over the Highway 72 corridor right now with the rotating part of the storm. So let's get back to the velocity data on this puppy as we take a look and see if it's where that rotation is. So it is now along and south of Baudette. This radar data is coming at us from Duluth. So I'm using the Duluth radar data now. So this is motion towards Duluth. This is motion away. And there is some counterclockwise circulation that has moved through areas south of Baudette and moving up here. Here is the tornado warning for Koochiching County. And there is, well, there's some rotation right back here, and there's some rotation back here. So all of these storms seem to have some sort of rotation. They're in this environment that's producing that, and that's what's going on. So if you happen to be from Baudette and you're watching Hutch and you have a comment, input, please upload your reports to hutchesweather.com. Drop a comment in the box here, and we'll keep you all updated. So we are looking at severe storms working their way along the international border right now, producing 2 tornado warnings. The tornado watch continues. Go ahead and update you on the tornado watch, and the box with that has been getting chewed away and decreased as we've gone through. Moorhead still remains in that watch at this time, but again, I think our risk is winding down fairly quickly here. You want to come on up here? Come on up. What are you doing? Come on. Okay, I've got my assistant now. This is Pedro of the North. And Pedro, what do you see in here, huh? Well, I know it's very, very tough to be a dog in a tornado warning, but it's not here. It's okay. All right. He's a little nervous. Okay. So at any rate, Pedro here is my furry puppy prognosticator, and he does a good job of keeping us ahead of storms too, don't you, Pedro? Yes. Okay. So the rotating part of this storm has made its way by Baudette. It's moving over the international border. It's moving across the Rainy River, and it's moving its way out. We do have that rotation right here and a little bit more intense rotation right here pushing into Koochiching County. That's where your tornado warned storm is. That's what we have going on right now in these areas. I'm monitoring this development out towards Bagley. I sure wish my cloud top height was working. Let me see if I can pull it up on this computer. This is always fun too. Echo tops. Well, yeah, it'll work. Well, Shazam, let's look at that. That's why having multiple sources never hurts in a situation like this. Tornado warning issued, looks like, by our friends in Environment Canada for all of this nonsense moving across the Rainy River and heading up into parts of southern Ontario. So that's what's going on there. Tornado warning here. You can see the bright pink. So we got a little bit more. What's that bright pink? Well, this is a look at echo top heights. So let me show you. I think I'll put on a little crosshair. Do you see the crosshair here? This will give me the data that's under the crosshair for the echo top heights. And if I co-locate it with this pink area, we now have a 60,000 foot cloud top. So radar is estimating that there's a 60,000 footer. It's taken most of this event to see something quite this high, although it may have popped up to that as it was moving across northern parts of western Beltrami County as it works its way across. So this storm, the most robust updraft, the strong updraft in this storm is right here in Lake of the Woods County, south of Baudette by about 15 miles, and it is pushing up into the atmosphere 60,000 feet up. Okay, when we look at the rotation on this particular radar display, let's look at the storm relative velocity. This is going to be from Mayville, North Dakota, by the way. We've got some bright reds, that's 60 mile per hour outflow from Mayville and inflow 25. So pretty good shear right here on that one. The one that moved through on the south side of Baudette still has some shear, but it's pretty weak. Okay, motion towards and away. And it's kind of backwards to what we would expect. There's a storm trailing this one outside of the warned area that has weak shear as well, but I'm not seeing any evidence of anything as organized as that first storm. What about the cloud top heights for what's going on to the south? So let's go back to that echo top color display. These cells that are forming down here west of Bemidji, south of Bagley, near the headwaters of the big river, 37,000 footers. So they're just growing. If I loop this over the past, I just want 7, let's go. Just the last little bit, we'll loop it and see. Yeah, so they're just now growing. These have a history of kind of pulsing up and then pulsing back down again. So I think they're rising up, they're hitting something, and then they're collapsing as they try to get going, and they're just not having much of a of luck with that. So you can take and draw this line all the way from the activity that you see right now. Get rid of that data. Okay, so you can draw a line from this big towering cell here, right down here, and anywhere along this line here, we could still see development tonight. It hasn't happened, folks, for a long time, so that's a good sign. Once your wind, as I've been saying, becomes northwesterly, your risk of severe weather dramatically decreases. You got a couple storms still moving through parts of Roseau County here, but your wind is northerly and your temperature is 79 degrees still a little warm, but it won't be long before that threat and risk exits your area as well. Bemidji, Grand Rapids, and areas out towards Fergus Falls, Wadena County, Hubbard County, and Park Rapids will all be in the risk for a few of these storms as well. So that's what's going on. I don't want to say that the threat is through the Baudette area yet, so you should still be in your shelter area. It does look like the tornado warning has been allowed to expire from the National Weather Service for Baudette. So we'll go ahead and say, I'm going to switch this from echo tops to velocity here, pardon me. Okay, so here we go. Near Baudette, the rotation is pretty unorganized and it's moved out of the area. There is a little bit downwind from you that might be moving your way, but it's not bright or organized like this one is. This one has motion away from Mayville, and this is towards, so there is some spin here. And that's what we got. So this is moving into rural Koochiching County is going to be making its way up toward the Rainy River here in the upcoming hour. So that's what's going on. Badette, if you do have anything to report, please pass along photos or reports of severe weather. I'm going to take one last look at the National Weather Service. And now it says, thanks for covering Manitoba. I know family is safe. Thanks. Murray, thank you very much for the kudos. Yeah, there's a lot of our neighbors up there in Manitoba. There is now some Ontario storms that are taking off there north of International Falls, and a tornado warning from Environment Canada there, and a thunderstorm warning out toward Dryden from our colleagues at the Environment Canada shop up there. Okay, so now let's take a look one more time at your replies, your questions, and see if I've got any more of concern here. Thank you, Aaron, for the sharing of stars. Thanks for hanging with us from Badette. We're waiting in the basement. Okay, so Roxanne, 4 minutes ago, the National Weather Service has dropped the tornado warning. It is safe to come out, but I do want to point out to you, I don't know what happened. Oh, I must have closed the radar. Sorry about that. I'll put the other radar up there. So yeah, if you want to come out, you can come out now. There could still be some heavy rain. The gusty and organized rotation has seemed to weaken and move north into Canada, where there is a tornado warning there. There's also your neighbors in Koochiching County out along and south of the Rainy River under a tornado warning, as are their neighbors north of the border as well. So thank you for your kudos. I appreciate that as well. All right, let's see. Pedro, somebody hollered, yep, Pedro's here and he is on duty. So thank you much. Keep doing what you're doing. Sure like the weather broadcast, Mitch. Thank you much. Right behind you, it says, and I'm not sure what that means. It's so hot and muggy, it's still clear. I mean foggy and clusters of clouds, but sun too. I got it. Sarah, it's kind of one of those kind of days where we could have had a lot more storms fire and they just haven't. And I'm okay with that. Okay, we've got a couple heaters up here along the international border. Whoop, we got a new tornado warning for the second one. Get back in the basement. Get back in the basement. Brand new tornado warning for Badette for this trailing storm I was telling you about. So this trailing storm that was moving out, it's followed the main tornado cell that I guess the storm chase crews were on. The original tornado producing storm now is up in parts of Ontario. This puppy here has been following it since just near Grigla and working its way through. Does look like we got a Lake of the Woods tornado report via live stream, some storm chaser there near Gates Corner, 6 miles to the east. That happened at 7:50, so an hour ago. That was the original storm, and now there's another one following it up here that has some pretty bright and hot signs on it of rotation, as does the one moving into Koochiching County. This one, moving east at 32 miles per hour. Is it? Is it? All right, let me open my loop. Pardon me. I'm just watching it move. And I know it's like watching paint dry. I'm sorry. This isn't about exciting TV. It's about getting accurate information. It's moving a little east-northeast. It's mainly moving east-northeast at 32 miles per hour, just like the last one. Okay, so now we'll go to the most recent scan. Here it is. This one is how far away from you in Badette? Bing, bing, 8 miles. It's 8 miles away from Badette, and it's moving at about 35 miles per hour. Go. Okay, yep, 32 miles per hour. It is moving in your direct direction. Again, Badette and points south look to have the best chance at seeing this rotation. Let me track it for you. I'm going to track the rotating part of the core here, right here. Boom. Moving east-northeast at 35 miles per hour. This is going to be in Badette in 11 minutes. So again, get back down to the basement. If you're in Badette, this storm has got the possibility of producing another tornado. This is not a radar, or excuse me, this is a radar indicated tornado, not a confirmed tornado on the ground. So a lot of trees out in these areas. It gets a little bit hard as you're driving over the hills and through the woods to see or make out what's going on with any of these particular thunderstorm cells as they work their way through. So that's important to keep in mind. Road name labeling, font appearance label. My tornado warning just disappeared again. I think that might be my thing. I'm going to double check whether there's a tornado warning or not, because it popped up on my screen and then it disappeared as fast as it popped up. which makes me a little nervous. So let's see. There's Duluth, here's Grand Forks, and let's see what Grand Forks says. Tornado issues a tornado warning at 8:11. Oh, that was a while ago. 8:12, Lake of the Woods. I wonder if my software somehow got confused and put the tornado warning back up there. So my apologies on that. There is no more tornado warning for that rotating storm south of town, but it is rotating. So, in fact, it's as strong of a rotation as we've had on the storm. I'm also going to triple check this by looking at another radar data source and see if that warning has been indeed allowed to be canceled or expired. Okay. Yeah, there is no tornado warning still in effect for Baudette. So my apologies. I might have been seeing something, but again, there is some shear in this storm that's heading towards Baudette, although it looks to be now more like it is a little bit of divergence in the mid-level of the cloud and or some rolling of the cloud in that particular area. So that's what I see. Tornado warning in Baudette is not in place. We do have another thunderstorm cell working its way over Baudette at this particular time. Let me get the latest radar data. What does it look like? This is standard radar data. Okay, so wait for it. This one will move it up here. It's still loading. There it is. So this is a cell, not nearly as big or impressive looking as this one, but it does have some rotation on this south side of it that will be moving up in that general direction of areas just south of Baudette. So if you're in this area, a pretty strong thunderstorm with some weak shear is working its way through Koochiching County. You still have a risk of a tornado here. It looks like on the far south side there might be evidence of a little bit of a bite taken out of the storm. Single site data showing that same thing as we look in right here, and then as we take a look at the hail core, that's getting more impressive as well. The hail core picking up in the cell outside of Baudette as well, as that storm is working its way to the north and to the east, looking at it from Duluth. So this is the Duluth radar, and here we go. So hail rotation, let me look at that. Yeah, so here we go. There is some shear in this area. It's not really organized. There's shear up north, and moving through Baudette, there indeed is shear. This isn't rolling. This is the Duluth radar. There's shear trying to put itself together, making its way into Baudette, and there is some right here trying to work its way into Koochiching County right now. So that is what's going on right now. There is some spin still in this cell. The tornado warning for Baudette has been allowed to expire. I'm going to look at another camera and see what I've got going on in and around Baudette. All right. So we have over Baudette, north of Baudette, up here in parts of Ontario, some rotation. We have some rotation in Koochiching County, some more to the south, and those cells down to the far south here, not really taking off. Another one trying to fire up near the Foston area as well. As we take a look at the latest radar display from that area. I'm going to the single site. Again, this is from Duluth, so it's picking up a couple of pimples here trying to form in the heat and humidity. That's still hot and humid in those areas as we go through. The hail core seems to be picking up a little bit more intensity to the hail signature that I'm seeing on this particular storm that's moving into areas just south of Baudette and just east of Baudette and heading right into the Rainy River area at this particular time. So let's take a look at this. I'm just looking at some different opportunities that I have around me to look at some cameras that I can't share on the line, but I can sure look at the data with my own eyes and see what I'm seeing and pass that along and see if I've got confirmation of anything. So here we've got nothing. Not worried about it. Okay. So what I'm looking at is showing that again, most of this activity is on the south side of Baudette, not up here near the big lake. There is a little bit of shear in the cell making its way toward Baudette, but this one here in northern Koochiching County really has a heater. So you got 1, 2, 3 cells that are working their way through this, and the one that moved over Baudette already, which is up here. So A few cells continuing to fire in the same areas of Lake of the Woods County, Koochiching County, there as you look outside of International Falls to the west. All right, that's what's going on. I'm going to stick with you in Badette here until the threat is really gone. I would love to hear from you if you are in Badette. If you do, let me know. If you have a report of what you're experiencing. It does look like most of the hail and wind threat is just along Badette and points just south, but that radar is a long ways away. More news channels should allow hot dogs in the studios. Yeah, I think Pedro would have been a happy helper out in my television days as well. Yeah, so not out of the realm of questioning whatsoever. I like that idea. Okay, in Badette, again, I'm trying to pull up your comments here and get those back on board. There's the National Weather Service, and now let's go to you. Let's see. All right. There we go. All right. Any weather warnings in Sioux Falls coming to Minnesota? Great question. That was a while ago. Reed just saw it on the ground 6 minutes ago. Oh, geez. Well, if they're seeing stuff on the ground, then that's pretty important to pass along. I would think he's in touch with the National Weather Service too. He's a super duper spotter, right? So he would pass that information along to the Weather Service pronto stat. So all right, Roxanne, if you're still listening from Badette, yeah, I would stay in the basement until this next storm moves by. There is some shear or spin in the storm as it's working its way through Badette right now. You can see it's not as strong as this storm taking over. This one has 1, 2, 3 hail cores spread about it as it's working its way through. And on this inflow side of the storm, we've got rotation in it too, and it's pretty tight. So keep that in mind. Let's take a look at straight velocities. This is a long ways from the radar, once again, to remind you, but it's showing that we have shear or spin. Now, when we subtract out the motion of the storm, we can't, because this is moving across the radar beam. So it's going to look very similar. It's going to be my professional opinion here to what we see on the storm relative velocity. And by golly, that's what we see. Same thing. So we do have stormy weather working its way through northern Minnesota right now. Badette, is there still shear? Well, you've got this radar beam is shooting through 2 storms, one with some pretty considerable hail in it, but there's still some weak shear showing up, making its way through Badette and off to the north and east. Down to the south of you, not very organized activity going on right here. So that's what I see. That's what I see going on right now. What about Chris saying Duluth? Just so you know, Duluth, Maine webpage still showing tornado warning for Badette. But when you click the county map, it doesn't show up on the local forecast page. So there's some National Weather Service goofiness showing up. I appreciate your help in helping me look at that, Chris. Appreciate you very much. Thank you. So if I were to go to the National Weather Service forecast page in Grand Forks or in Duluth, I should be able to see it. So there we go. I'm home. I think I'm overworking my computer. This site can't be reached. Uh-oh, that isn't a good sign. How about this one? Oh, we might be having some data issues from the National Weather Service is my guess. Either that or my internet just went down and I have a backup, so that ain't happening. I think it's that. It looks like I got a whole boatload of photos taken here. So let me just double check and see what's going on with your information. Once again, if you're in Badette, there's still some rotation moving through your area, now sliding off into parts over the Rainy River and into Ontario. So that's good, but I would stay in your safe space. I'm saying that because there's some confusion with what's going on with data that I'm getting from my map here. My map is not the National Weather Service. It's taking the data and plotting it. Active tornado warning is in a place out here. Some of the other radar sites, National Weather Service sites showing both. Thanks again, Chris. I appreciate your help. All right, so we do have a very bright, hot signature here of spin on the storm right here in Koochiching County, approaching the Rainy Lake area, anywhere, excuse me, the Rainy River area, anybody in the Rainy River area here, or Highway 11 corridor that's right next to it, yeah, you want to get out of the campers and seek shelter in a sturdy structure at your earliest convenience as this works its way through. Baudette, it's still working its way through your area. See what our radar here in Mayville shows too, as far as the Baudette storms and the ones here a little bit closer to us in Bemidji. And I think it's still thinking. There we go. Let it think. There it is. There's the Mayville radar. Now it's on. So we're still seeing some, oh, wow, look at the tight rotation showing up and noisy stuff in this. It is the same spot. So 2 Doppler radars, both showing shear. This one's showing it in this general direction. This is wind blowing very fast, 90 mile per hour toward the radar. That's extremely fast wind blowing in there toward the Mayville radar. And this is moving toward the radar too, but not nearly as fast. This is moving away. So we do have this area of shear going through the northern reaches right near the Rainy River at this time. So thank you for your help. Wahpeton, no longer in the tornado watch. Let's update you with that because they've been cutting counties out here as the risk switches. So yeah, you are exactly right. And as I take you up to this, Wahpeton is out, but Fargo and Wheaton are still in. And so is well, so is Breckenridge, according to this. So yeah, and the temperatures are still quite high. So as I pull up this other view here of another radar for the watch, boom, tornado watch has been carved away. Polk County still out, and now Wahpeton, Richland County taken out. But as you can see in Otter Tail County, we have a 95-degree temperature over a 75-degree dew point in Fergus Falls. So the air is still juiced there. Once your wind changes direction, your wind is still southerly. What's that say? 95. It's 95 over 73 as well in Wahpeton. So even though the watch is expired for that area, the cooling hasn't gone there. I don't see anything forming in that area. Last look at the satellite view, I wasn't seeing anything there that showed me that we have high clouds starting or trying to form in the area, although there is a little evidence right there that there's a little bit trying to start to form. Could it blow up? You betcha. Is it by Fargo already? Yes. A little bit of activity off to the east. That's not the main event. So those are lower clouds, as a matter of fact. So let's go ahead and get back to the coverage for our viewers. I did have a question about what's going on in parts of South Dakota. All of this nonsense heading towards Minnesota a little bit later. Let's take a look at the timing on that for you really quickly as we go back to a model look here really quick. So what we're looking at is what's going on in South Dakota. And as we advance this into the overnight hours, it moves into southern and western Minnesota as we go towards 11Z. This is daybreak. This is 6 a.m. So these storms make their way through. It doesn't look as strong on this particular model, but not all models agree. We go back one model step and one model run and see if at least this model is consistent. And it is consistent. So it's showing a couple of racers across the area here. See how fast they move through the St. Cloud and Brainerd area and then move up. So we could have some fast moving windy thunderstorms there as we go through the overnight hours. They'll be racing through this air mass that was hot and humid, but it's on the other side of the cold front, which will be in this same area. So it'll be racing along the cold front and ahead of the cold front as it works its way through. Behind the cold front, those cells will be moving to the south and east, and that'll be just some garden variety showers in the morning. That's the way the forecast is looking on that particular model. So there is a risk of some stronger storms tonight in Lakes Country. The best chance will be from, say, Traverse County, Big Stone County, in towards you folks in Grant and Douglas counties, then making its way off into central parts of Minnesota. So that's what we have going on right now. Tornado warning does continue for Koochiching County. It's been expired, at least to the best of my knowledge, for Lake of the Woods County. And Baudette, your risk of a tornado is, well, it's moving up into Canada and out into Koochiching County right now. So this look from the radar site in Mayville showing most of the activity is now out of your area. So I do believe you can come out of the basement now, and that storm threat is out of the city of the Baudette area right now. It looks like that on both of my radar feeds, and it looks like that on the National Weather Service page, text page that I'm using to contact them for information. So that's what's going on right now. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson. I do have a couple of photos that have come in. I'm going to go ahead and review those right now while I'm on the air with you and see if there's anything new that I can pass along to you. Okay, so we've got some views of the stormy activity tonight, and that's pretty cool. We've got Thief River facing north. Okay, we'll look at that. That looks good. Thanks again for your participation. This is coming in from Justin. Okay. Close this. There we go. So both of those have been approved, and now we can show you that, and then we will call this a update. Now, if you are in Koochiching County, this shear that is showing up here from the radar that's located in Mayville, still showing it right here, right where that arrow is, and it's moving right up to the Rainy River, and it's going to be crossing off into parts of Ontario very shortly. So that's what we have going on right here, right now. And it does look like, oh, by the way, the stuff you see over Roseau County, non-severe, you are out of the tornado watch now in Roseau County. And that's the good news. We are out of the tornado watch in Fargo and in Wahpeton. Moorhead and Breckenridge are still in the tornado watch. And that's right. Greased Monkey says hot and humid in DL, Hutch. I believe that. I just drove through that area and it was just muggy all day long on that drive back from the Twin Cities. So it's definitely a muggy day for sure. So, all right, let's pop up Hutch's Weather's photo uploads and show you a couple of the views that we got of these storms tonight. And again, from the distance, Wolf Lake, Cass Lake, Jake seeing some towering storms. Pretty skinny, but it made its way through. And look at the shadows the storm's casting across the skies. Beautiful shot, Jake. Talented shot, and sometimes Mother Nature does all the work, and we just happen to be standing there with our camera. So good on you for bringing the photo and taking it. Justin, facing north from Thief River, showing these storms as they were working their way. The tornado-warned storm formed just a little bit north of Thief River Falls, and it moved through near Grigla. It moved through the northwest corner of Beltrami County, and then moved into Lake of the Woods County. It's just now moving off into Canada. So that storm tracked all the way from your area, Justin, and worked its way through. Those are the latest on the feedback that I've got from you. I have not heard anything else. I am going to break off here with this coverage at this particular time here shortly. I do see that the rotating part of the storm, as we look in on the folks up in the Koochiching County area, the bulk of the rotation right now is right here where you see the greens and reds next to each other. There's a couple areas on this one storm. Again, green is motion towards Mayville, red is motion away. So it's now moving into Ontario. And then we have green toward the radar, blue really, really ridiculously fast toward the radar here. And that's what we have going on. So there's some shear in the opposite direction on that side. So keep in mind, that storm's still dangerous. Let's take one quick look then at the DOT cameras and make sure if there's nothing up there that we can confirm or deny. Hutch is going to step away for a little break and feed Pedro. All right, that's a good thing to do, isn't it? All right, here we go. A little bit of a tornado warning in this tiny little area. Here is a look at a Birchdale view, and look at that. It's nothing but rain and very, very wet streets out there. And as we take a look at, it looks like there's some ponding on the road surface. So it's dark and there is a ton of rain out there. You get out into International Falls, the storms are not in that area right now. And we can certainly see a little bit more clearly out in that area. If we are going to take a look in the Baudette area, we have a camera south. South is where the action was, just south of Baudette. Boy, it looks rainy off in the distance as that storm exits that area as well. So heavy rain making its way out of the Lake of the Woods area near Baudette, pushing across the Rainy River into parts of Ontario. I do believe the National Weather Service, Environment Canada does have a tornado warning continuing for parts of southern Ontario. So from Stratton to Manders to Barwick, all the way in towards Shenston, if I'm pronouncing all these right for you. I hope all those areas will have a chance at seeing some severe weather and a tornado from those storms. A tornado warning from Environment Canada for southern and western parts of the Ontario province. Bacon Whiskey says, appreciate you going live today, Hutch, reassuring, and thank you very much. And that is one interesting handle. That sounds yummy. All right, let's take a look then. We do have a thunderstorm warning for what's going on now that's been issued for International Falls. This is for the area, you'll see it pop up here maybe, but how about I get to the radar? So we got a thunderstorm warning that's been issued for northern parts of Koochiching County in the similar area, but basically just on the south side of this tornado warning. Here it is. Let me pull it up on the radar right now. Or right now? No? Okay, how about now? Shazam, there it is. Okay. So this cell has formed a little bit to the south. There's still a little bit of spin in it down there, but it's moving off to the east towards International Falls. So basically from Little Fork north and along the Rainy River and Highway 11 corridor, that's where the main threat is. I'll continue to monitor these storms as we go through the evening hours. Let's see if I can coax this puppy into giving me some cloud top data. I'm really interested in seeing that. I did look at that on my other computer, but for whatever reason, this one doesn't want to load up. So I'm going to just stick my tongue out at it, and then we'll get the data over here. Sorry for my less than professional treatment of my computer system. Okay, here we go. Let's go to this other monitor here. I'll load up the cloud height echo top data, and let's see if any of these storms down south have anything going on. So what I mean by that is the strongest updrafts will make the tallest clouds. These cells that are forming near Bemidji are just not getting it done. They're not releasing or being able to punch through some stable layer in the atmosphere. And as we go out towards International Falls, those cloud tops are extremely high. So if I pull out my little crosshair here, you're going to see that the storm that's in and south, oh, I saw south of Badet here, 60 to 61,000 feet moving towards Emo. That is one huge and towering storm. That is extremely tall for our part of the country, 61,000 feet. So that is way up there. An updraft that's punching that high into the atmosphere possibly has the ability for some really ginormous hail. And if we take a look at the hail threat from this, let me see if I can turn that on. Okay, here we go. Radar settings. Let's turn on the track. All right. So we got a 61,000 foot cloud top working its way through northern Koochiching County, heading in the general direction of the Rainy Lake area and International Falls. And that warning is basically for, possibility of a tornado is what it says. So a tornado can't be ruled out. Let me get this out from behind me. Apologies for that. Okay. And 60-mile-per-hour winds with it. So tornado possible, 1-inch diameter hail. And of course, the tornado risk as well. So that's what's moving in to the International Falls area and working its way into parts of southern Manitoba as well. These cells down here do not have the reach in the atmosphere, so I am not necessarily concerned at this point in those. With that, I am going to end this update, and I'm going to gather my my gear. Yay, Hutch is back, says Josh's Weather. Yeah, indeed I am. I'm back from the cities. MSPN Digital Television, Hutch's Weather #1 as far as we are concerned. Wow, thank you so very much. I do appreciate all of you for your kind comments. That's fantastic. And I appreciate each of you and what you do to help share. You know what? This is teamwork. Chris Newbro, thank you. I mean, you're giving me information because I was seeing a warning pop back on and back off of my screen, and I didn't know whether it was a new warning or not. Apparently not. Some kind of a hitch in the giddy up over there. But I appreciate the comments, and I appreciate each and every one of you. I think he's getting a sandwich soon, says the Avs hockey fan. I am. I will be back with an update as needed, and we'll watch this stuff. This is all going to skirt towards International Falls in northern and central parts of Minnesota. The development out to the south and central parts of Minnesota has not happened tonight. Does it mean we're in the clear? I cannot say that, because honestly, any one of these storms that you see right now forming right here in central Minnesota could decide to get angry and start getting some lift to it and take off and percolate up into a 60,000 foot cloud top like those are. Let me see. I am looking at some information on the other side here, and let's see what we got. I think I see a lot of rain, a lot of hail, and when I take a look at the spin in the storm one more time, as it's moving through the region, I think that is still evident But it is in such a rural area. I'm just not seeing much. So if you do have family up here, call them and let them know we got us a tornado warning. It's really hard to see this far away from the radar site, though. Any data that we can have a ton of confidence in when it comes to is it really capable of producing a tornado. Usually we like to see that rotation in the bottom of the cloud. We're seeing some shear in the upper levels of the cloud as well, though, which can be a very clear indicator that all isn't well with the weather up there in Koochiching County. So, okay, we got green, that's motion, that's toward the radar in Mayville. And this blue, if you're unfamiliar with it, we've been talking about, it's ridiculously fast wind toward the radar in Mayville. So what we likely have going on here is southerly winds at the surface, ramping up, updraft sucking them up. That updraft is rotating, and then it's bending back towards the radar at ridiculous speeds of 90 miles per hour. So that is what's going on. Now that's also causing lift that's carrying that cloud up to 60,000 feet in the atmosphere. And right in this general vicinity is where that is at. I am going to switch over. This is definitely, I think, a little closer to the Duluth radar now. And that means we should get subtly better data from what we're looking at here. And I see bright reds and bright greens next to each other. Red away from Duluth, green towards right here and right here. This has at least 2 couplets on it in that very close to proximity right over there. So that's what's going on. Thank you very much. We do have a tornado warning that continues just for a few more minutes here until 9:45 for this cell that's working its way through northern Koochiching County. I am seeing some tight rotation. This is a severe thunderstorm warning that extends all the way out to the Rainy Lake area and International Falls. And that is for this storm here. But this one has a hail possibility, and it says a radar indicated tornado. Excuse me. Let me get back on the warning here for the thunderstorm. The thunderstorm, the yellow box here, it says tornado possible. Well, this is why. We still have some pretty tight rotation going on in the couplets on that thing, and that's going to mean that we have some spin. So what we have is a situation here in northern Koochiching County, right along the border here with our neighbors in southern Ontario. And these storms do have, this is not shear or spin. Maybe right here I have a little bit of shear from the Duluth radar as well. As we're looking up across the border, that would be about at that area. Let me co-locate this with my other map. So it's south of Sioux Narrows, and it's pushing its way up into the area south of Nestor Falls. So south of Nestor Falls, there's a rotating couplet right in that area. That's where it is. So that's what I have going on up in parts of Ontario. And we do have very tight rotation showing up from the Duluth radar here in northern Koochiching County. This is all moving off to the east-northeast at about 35 miles per hour. New tornado warning's been issued, as we were just talking about. I'm not sure if there is a confirmation on this, so we'll just read what they say. Tornado, it's not possible. It's a warning. I'm on the wrong one here. Let's see if I can get that. Tornado warning for a radar-indicated tornado moving east-northeast at 32 miles per hour. Some hail up to around 3/4 of an inch is possible with this cell. Rotation here. Rotation here. Moving east-northeast at 35 miles per hour. So I'll draw a manual tracking mechanism through this. East-northeast, 35 miles per hour gives me a little bit of error, caution towards the side. 10:19, International Falls. It'll be moving towards you by 10:19. Rainier, near Rainy Lake. 10:24, it'll be in your general direction. So basically, this puppy is moving off to the east over rural portions of northern Koochiching County. There along the Highway 11 corridor is rotating pretty tightly as it's moving its way through. Duluth has pulled the trigger on a tornado warning for that particular area for that part of the storm. Baudette, you are almost in the clear from most of the thunderstorm activity tonight. These cells down here have not amounted to much as far as their ability to shoot back up in the atmosphere. Are you going to track Canada stuff? Josh was asking. Well, I'll tell you what, it gets a little bit hard on this one because my radar data is cut off at the border on this particular software piece. I could track it a little while as long as it stays in good radar range. I will say this, our friends in Canada do a lot with less radar data than we have here. So they do a wonderful job of warning people. The hard part is when you get far away from these radar sites in rural parts, it's just hard to get feedback on these storms. So any feedback that you all give me on what you're seeing in these areas is helpful as well. But yes, we do have that International Falls area thunderstorm warning. We have the tornado warned storms that are moving through north central parts of Koochiching County. 2 tornado warnings. That's why you see 2 pink boxes. The first one is just about done. Wraps up at about 9:45 for this rotating couplet you see right here by that arrow, that arrowhead. The top arrowhead right here is where that rotation is. Okay, moving east-northeast at about 32 miles per hour. Bright green, bright red rotation. This is a broad area of pretty significant rotation as well near this arrowhead, and it's moving east-northeast right toward the Big Bend in the Highway 11 corridor there. So that's what's going on. That's what we have going on. So can you talk about the heat over the USA? Oh, I can talk about all kinds of stuff, but I do need a sandwich. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. We do have heat advisories and warnings. Let me go back to this detailed map over here. So on this map, what you're going to see is the tornado watch. Down here, the pink boxes are for a heat warning. We have heat indices, extreme heat warning, that we're at over 100 degrees, 110 degrees possible. There's cooler air on the way, and this warning will be allowed to expire, but it's definitely a sticky air mass over the area right now. Dew points are well into the 70s, and that heat expands over the nation. Now I go back to my other computer to show the rest of the USA, and I'll pop temperatures up briefly. Essentially, what we have is some significant heat up here in the northern plains, but it's also the humidity, and that's what gives us the fuel for these storms as we are going through our evening. So these are actual temperatures across the region. Minneapolis all the way up into Becker County and Otter Tail County are still in the 90s. Brainerd Lakes area 90. Bemidji 84 degrees. The cold front, I should say, is on the way. It's 57 in Minot. So big time difference in temperatures making their way through. We're going to have more refreshing weather. You can see the heat all the way from the Gulf in Texas right up into the central and northern plains and the Great Lakes. South winds ahead of this storm here are going to bring moist air from the Gulf right up into the northern plains, and that's what's been happening throughout the weekend. That's what fueled the storms on Thursday, Friday, Saturday as well. There's extreme heat in Pennsylvania, and as you take a look at Pennsylvania over here, the temperatures right now, but it's a little later there, right? You got dark 30, it's 10:30, and it's 81 as central parts of PA. Pittsburgh is at 84. That's hot for this time of the night there. New York City at 84 degrees. Going back to what you're referring to here is indeed the case when we look at heat warnings and advisories. Look at the whole East Coast here. So as we take you over into that general direction, all of these peach counties you hear, everything isn't peachy, but it's hot. That's a heat advisory. Heat indices in some areas would be triple digits up to around 105. It says right here. I'll pull this window down so you can see it with me. So heat indices in parts of Indiana and Kentucky upwards of 105 degrees possible. And if you happen to be in the state of Pennsylvania, you see the reds or the peach colors here. That's the high heat warning. It looks like we got fog or dense air or bad air quality advisories, air quality alert in the area as well. Hot weather there. So the heat warning for your area out there in eastern PA is for heat indices up to around 110 degrees. So it literally is the same air mass or same thing that's going on out in the Twin Cities area of Minneapolis and St. Paul. Heat warning in the areas of pink. Peach is a heat advisory, meaning it's going to be pretty bad. But where you see the pinks here, including, it looks like Fort Wayne, Indiana. It looks like around Washington, DC, it looks like out towards New York City and Boston, all in high heat warnings. So yucky weather out there. And also when we look at these dew points in the 70s in the eastern half of the United States on my other radar map here. And that's some muggy air, and that's why the heat indices are so high. You go to the west and boom, dew points are in the 30s. This air is so dry. I mean, if you sneeze, it'll be a dust storm, a haboob. So just watch out for that. It's really dry air up there in Calgary as we look off to the west. So that's what's going on there. I think I am going to sneak away for a little bit of a break here. But I can tell you now that the tornado risk is mainly along this boundary, and you can draw this line straight down into Lakes Country. That's where the main threat is. We could see a couple of these thunderstorms really take off quickly. I'll be watching as I'm getting my sandwich. But what we have going on here is some severe storms right along the international border. Everything down south of that could not take root tonight. And we do have a severe thunderstorm warning for you folks in International Falls. And if you happen to be out to the east of Baudette in northern Koochiching County, we have a tornado warned storm right here. This warning cancels in 10 minutes for this little rotating part of the cell that's moving across the Rainy River right now into southern parts of Ontario. And we do have this rotating couplet here, which the latest display on Hutch's radar showed that that couplet was pretty strong. Let's get you the latest update. Still very strong. North central Koochiching County moving east at 30 miles per hour towards this big bend in Highway 11 and the Rainy River. Thank you all very much for following Hutch here. I would really appreciate your following me here on Facebook. If you're watching on my YouTube channel, hi everybody. Hi Michael. Hi Josh's Weather. Hi Avs Hockey Man. All right. Hopefully we have ourselves some icier weather around here, although not icy like they're getting in Montana, right? It's snowing over there. And in western Wyoming, are you kidding me? I'm going to take a little bit of a breather. You're watching Hutch's Weather. Make sure you go ahead and hit the subscribe button on my YouTube channel. If you're near the international border, nasty storms do continue out there. There is some rotation showing it's so far away from the radars, it's really difficult to tell what the heck is going on, but I'll keep watching it. And what I'm really watching for is whether any of these cells that you see down here take root and take off. Can it happen? Yes. Will it? Not necessarily likely the way it's looking. And our next round of storms coming at us from our friends way down south, near and around Sioux Falls, South Dakota, where those storms will be a rumbling tonight and making their way out of parts of Nebraska through Sioux Falls and pushing into southwest Minnesota. From Fergus Falls and points south, you may see some overnight storms that could be strong. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. And until next time, please stay tuned and stay safe.